What's good? What's good? What's good, beautiful people? It's Friday, and I just want to do a quick shout out to everyone that's been supporting. You know what I mean? Like, this journey has been beautiful. Had to place the camera on. You're here with Baby Butter. Class is almost over. We didn't do a crazy class today, and I'm just the support has been tremendous, and I want everybody to know how thankful I am. And the milestone we about to reach the $25,000 milestone. Really, proud of us for doing that. The community, and I'm pretty sure as we go forward, the next stage, hopefully we can reach the next 25,000 within a year, and who knows, even sooner than that. Bye, 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 bye. Where you going? Sean, what's goody, baby? I know the camera's mad dark. I should turn the light off. Hey, where you, bro? Where you? So I'm here with Baby Butter. I was having a great day, and I want y'all to know I was support. So thank you for the support. I gotta show the donators. Let me pull up the GoFundMe. Denise Sangster recently gave $100. Shout out to you. Jason Savage, he brought his son here a couple times. Definitely. You done? I think he's finished. I don't think he wants any more. Yeah, I think he's finished. Yes, Jason Savage. I don't even know what Denise Sangster is. I think I'm saying her name right. Sammy Hodge. Thank you, Sister Sam. I think she's donated multiple times too. Shout out to her. Katrina Phillips, $20 the other day. Appreciate that. JR. Yeah, downstairs it is, yeah. Who? Oh, no, he could have came through. Why you didn't tell me?
He said he wasn't going to come in. I was like, yeah, you got to do the baby. He was like, the studio closed. I was like, yeah.
Oh, no, he just came in.
He's going to come back.
All right. Well, whatever, I'll go get him. Let me see what's up on there. JR, shout out to you, JR, $5. My man Bolo BX, he actually came here with his children one day from Virginia randomly. So I don't know who this anonymous person is for $250, but shout out to you. We really appreciate that. $10 from somebody else anonymous. Ren. I think she donated like 2-3 times, yo. That's my sis right there. Session. I gotta call you back, JoJo. Wheezy Baby, shout out to you, $20, man. Marie Internet, yo, sis, thank you so much. She's so simple. Yo, Lennon Anna, if you're not subscribed to this brother's page, go and subscribe. Definitely good brother. He did a lot of videos exposing, some scammers in the community and people that's been abusing, the resources in our community. So definitely check him out. Good brother, always showing off his family. If a man can't show up his family, something wrong with him. Nothing wrong with him. Let me see. Go back to that. Another person, $200 anonymous. Yo, Moses Jenkins, man, I gotta call you. I don't know. See if Mr. Robbins can handle the class. Maybe I don't have to teach today. I am definitely a little to the left. It's been a long week. But if I have to do what I do, Kyrie Rashad. Thank you. Shout out to you, $100. I think that's Skinny Boy. I'm not sure. No, that's not Skinny Boy. I know what Skinny Boy is. But Kyrie Rashad, good looks. King Pimpin', shout out to you, Sherry T. Elmira Lofton. Yo, Anytime Nova. That's my guy. Anytime Nova. what it looked like. Yeah, shout out my supporter. I don't expect this video to get that many views, but it's for you, So only people that need to watch it is people that's been supporting. Hey, mwah, baby butter, a baby butter, a baby butter, baby butter, baby butter. You ready to bounce? Or you want to throw up on that? Bruh. All right, let's see. You ready? Ooh. Oh. Ah, yes. Mama Noah. Thank you. But yeah, this video is shout out to everybody that's been supporting Mr. Robbins, man, Brother Robbins, Buddha. I've been trying to find somebody else to really help me with the, teaching and that understands the education system, on a professional level. And it's been hard to find people. Oh, see that? No throw up. A no throw up on a no throw up, man. Oh, Mama No. You emailed me today? I'm sorry, sis. If you did email me, I didn't respond yet. What was your email? Bad. I know somebody emailed me today, a couple people, but you emailed me to your children are still in school, right? Yeah, I think I have to. Yes, you in Queens or something like that. I will definitely get in touch with you. Mwah. I saw that today, and it was right before we started the online. Being busy is never an excuse. You want to look back at the camera? Well, yeah. And so back to y'all, because it's about y'all, man. Let me see. Yes, cute. Yes, you saw he was brand new. Now he up spinning already. He can lay on his stomach and spin over. It's almost now he can't spin back. I just want to thank y'all. Let me go back to y'all names, man. It's been so much support. JR again. Shout out to you. I know I seen JR in here mad time. Deborah Amran. That guy from Texas, Wagwan. Indy B. Oh, Sister Bridget Benson with $500 donation. Shout out to you. King Ali. I don't got no problem with Dagger Squad. I just got a problem with, what's his name? But I think King Ali. Don't know who you are, but I guess you're here to support. So shout out to you. And shout out to everybody that's been supporting. Y'all see my man Big Homie shot. Yeah, you saw that though, Sean, right? You see that skills, right? It's the angle. So you don't want to hold them straight. You want to lean them lightly on you and then angle it. And then it's either tap or rub and come right up, B. I know what Gian Lee, I'm talking a message. Yeah, come it right there, B. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta worry about getting thrown up on. I very rarely get thrown up on. But it can happen though. But don't put too much pressure right below the sternum. Come here, Kari. Let me get a black power right quick.
Power.
Huh?
Power.
Ooh.
My power.
My guy. Mwah, my boys. Mwah. Peace and love. Yo, Damo, man. Sean, y'all, I appreciate y'all, man. These brothers have been volunteering for a long time. I love y'all, man. I help make this mission happen. And it's an honor to have people like y'all in my corner. No. East Africa, shout out to you, man. You in Nairobi, Kenya. Yo, Takari, where's the oldest artifact found?
In Kenya.
And where?
In Kenya.
You remember the name? What hominoid?
Australopithecus.
Say it again for the Ken. They say loud.
Australopithecus. Pull up the kiss.
Mm-hmm. Why y'all not in the class?
Huh?
Why y'all not in class?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. I just.
I know. I see. What are they doing over there? Huh? What are they doing over there? Now I know Mama Nora. I can't even count. And I don't even try to diminish anybody's form of support, and I can't even quantify everybody's support. Because look, like it might be your last $5, and you might be sitting there saying like, "Well, my last $5, this is the best thing I can do for it." I rate that just as much as somebody's $500. You know what I mean? Somebody's $200. You may not have anything. You may just the only thing you have is the share. And you may not even have internet on your phone. You might log into somebody else's internet or go to somebody else's house just to share my stuff. I count everything. I need to be more humble. You put it like that. And there's nothing wrong with, seeking more humility. Fly Plane Mystery P. Thank you much, man. Savvy 30, Wagwan, sis. Peace to you. I mean, if I could join my own call, because y'all can see the class going on right now. That's the best part. Class is fully going on. And Mr. Robbins is no joke. Mr. Robbins is definitely no joke. Now I'm an audio engineer. Thank you. I need to, always could be more humble. Hey, but I'm not a producer. No. Well, yes, I am a producer. I produce for the community, and I have yet to truly unveil the depth of the works that I plan on presenting and building for the community. Yeah. This is one of the best things I produced. Hey, say give him a little man. Yeah. Baby butter. Baby butter, yeah. Black power. Black power. But yeah, we talking about the donuts today, man, because the supporters have made the ability for us to get to St. Louis that much closer. You see what I'm saying? No, I've said that backwards. That much. You get the point. It's closer. Dr. G, we'll be there soon, sis. Ren, we coming to St. Louis, Atlanta, looking to get to Atlanta, man. You're in these places. We want to expand to their place and to your town. Read some more names. Barasha, sister, her daughter's in the program right now. Yo, Irene, if you want to talk about what we got going on. Oh, you're right. Let me drop the GoFundMe link in the chat. Savvy, if you don't mind just, rerunning that, my bad. I just wanted to thank y'all, the support. People have been donating, people be calling up to support and contribute. And I'm just in awe of the continued phone calls and means that people are providing or presenting to provide us with. And I'm truly honored. I just want to make sure I take the time out. I was gonna do a video talking about, white supremacy, Black issues, Black this and that. But I was like, you know what? I got a little bit of time. Let me take a video and dedicate this to you. Y'all people that's been supporting, and it really means a lot, man. It really means a lot. Now I know what it is to not be supported. I know what it is to have your ideas looked upon as like your idea. Go handle that. Go figure it out. Well, right now with the internet, and that's something I'm going to be announcing. Hopefully I shoot the video this week. I just have to figure out how to organize the classes. But if anybody, I doubt Garfield paid that money back. But if anybody's willing to come on board, I am looking for a principal, someone that either may be retired or someone that can administer, or rather coordinate the classes, for our online program, and can help make sure that the vision of our curriculum, or rather the goals of our institute and the capabilities presented, or my bad. The ideas presented. One of the kids' link fell out. My bad. My bad. Where you at? 1 second. Google Hangouts. Oh, I didn't know I could do that like that. Let me go to the Institute. Let me see if I can show y'all them right now. Guys, here. I'm just gonna dig on your teeth.
It introduces the
Look at that.
character, the place, and the style.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah. They didn't do the
Come on.
The work you was set up a little
Yo, Joe, y'all see this?
same setting with something different.
This is what Black Power look like, y'all.
So let's add climb in here.
See, this is what I need somebody to open up. This is what's going on right now. This is what I'm talking about, systematic. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm with the baby talking to y'all, thanking y'all, and this is what's going on right now. Joe, we need help, Joe. We just need more educators. But look, one, that's Atlanta. Hey, that's California.
So we got the time unknown. So that
That's the teacher here in California. He's in Cleveland. I don't know if they're in North Carolina right now, or they might be in Queens. She's in North Carolina, Harlem. Come on now. That's what Black Power look like. There's no, and then, sick. You can stay home. We're going to send you that link to your computer, and your sick baby can sit there and watch us in class. You see that? That's what Black Power looks like. Come on now. Y'all see that? That's what y'all supporting. This is what national Black Power looks like. This is not even, I'm not even in any way exaggerating. You see that? Like, them kids is literally all over the country right now. And my only challenge is right now, see, that's brother. Look at that. Focus. Hey, Cassia, hold on. Watch yourself. That's the teacher. Come on now. They got schools struggling to find one good black teacher. We got 2 black male teachers. And then once Damo figures out his schedule and locks it in, it's going to be 3 on the regular. You see what I mean? Come on now. You can't touch that. Once I figure out how to organize these classes, that's literally what my weekend is about. The curriculum is almost at the point where I can present it to the world. And not just present it. There's nothing equivalent to what we got put together. Hey, another trick, y'all. Blow on their face when they call. Your bedroom. You want it? You gonna hold 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 it? You gotta hold it. Hold it down. You gotta hold it now. Hold it down. Yeah. Oh, a little angle on it. I got you. Is that a hiccup? Get a little feet. Oh my goodness. So I'm limited when I can do, but I will be volunteering. Please do. Savvy 30, if you don't mind. Oh, Sharze, what up, sis? If you could repost, I think I have the links. But this video wasn't to really, solicit. We always in need of donations, but I'm not really here trying to like whatever for that. Yes, we're the old boy. I'm not, there's a lot of people. Honestly, I work full time. So let me explain that to you. I work full time. I own a music studio that is popping. I have been double booked forever. You know what I'm saying? I don't show it much because it's completely two different worlds. And a lot of people that know me from this world won't understand the studio world because it's really a studio. And it's a studio. But I bring out to say, you don't have to be, retired or anything. You just have to be willing to dedicate and sacrifice some time. I mean, that's your time. It's really that simple. You can work, and if your evenings are off, you can run out afternoon, evening classes, where you can just go over one subject and like, look, we're going to go over this. I believe solving the race problem is about to start teaching with us. If that brother comes on, then I ain't got to stress the biology component, and then, we're just going through it, the biology and chemistry component, and we keep adding on these people, and I am just honored because, B, there's nothing like this. Nothing like what we're doing. There's no one right now that has children all over the country involved in their programs. And if they are, power to them. I'm not trying to sit up here and some narcissistic run. I just really know that there's damn near nobody up there. You know what I mean? And that's just what it goes down to. Oh, whoever just donated, anonymous, $10, Shamika White, shout out to you. Whoever you are, you know what I mean? I don't know who you are, and I just am beyond appreciative. And I don't think we hear that enough. And so many people get up there and just, complain about what Black people aren't doing. And I can show you. I have to make I'm BSing. By Tuesday, I would have transferred the property. This is my first time transferring a property. I've never did this before, so I've never transferred a deed or anything like that. And on top of that, it's in another state, and I already owe them money because I didn't pay the taxes last year on it. And so I'm transferring it to the nonprofit, to the movement. Somebody donated this to us, and y'all think I'm BSing. Wagner, the curriculum I just put together for U.S. history is beyond impressive. Sister Carib, thank you so much, sister. Your donations have been truly used towards good measures, and I want you to know I am truly appreciative of everything. And I know one day when I was posting up about Phil, and it seemed like I was making, and I never forget that. I don't ever want anybody to feel like what they have contributed to what I'm doing is in any way marginalized because of what someone else may have done. I do not look like that. You know what I mean? I wasn't raised like that. Your contributions come from your heart and your space, and they're measured by that alone. You know what I mean? What the next person does means nothing to what the next person does when it comes to volunteering and donating. You know what I mean? You may be in a position to give $1 million, but you may have $500 million. So $1 million may mean nothing to you, and you're doing it for a write-off. Versus somebody whose last dollar, they said, you know what, Q, I spent this on printing out some of your flyers, and I left them over in the regular library. That's powerful. So, and I'm not taking away from anybody's position, but I want you to know I truly am appreciative of everyone. And I think if we spent more time being appreciative of the small things, the bigger things will be a lot easier to accomplish. Sister Carib, you do. Every time you y'all don't understand, just being involved, being a donor and disappearing is one thing. But being a donor and being around is a different type of measuring, because you don't want to let that person down, you know. And yo, you don't want those people to feel like, you know, they donated and their donations were just like lost amongst the mix. You know what I mean? Like, this is us, you know, Carib and Sister Savvy, Vonda Harris, Phil Advisory Show, JR, Anytime Nugga, Taz, Nyla, even down to Sinetta. This is us. You know what I mean? Yes, Sinetta, you've helped make this happen. Shout out to Sinetta. You know what I mean? Because we all did this. And I wanted to be able to look around and say, yo, what did we can do? Nah, B, we made this website and it's working. And this website got these kids on it right now. And you see the sister in the chat room? Her child, what's her name? Stolen from Africa. No, I own my own institution, beloved, and your children can come here. No shots against Umar Johnson, which I already will shoot at him. But I do not mention me with Umar Johnson. If you don't know me, don't ever mention. That's like mentioning me with, you know. Oh, you know, I'm trying to keep this one positive. I don't want to discuss that. Please just don't not mention me with that man. Simple as that. Marcus Klein, I would love to be able to be mentioned around Marcus Klein. I have to do more work to be able to be considered in the position of talk amongst Marcus Klein. And that's with my own standard. You know what I mean? And that's just because I respect people who put in that real work and who have accomplished things that to me in my life are examples of goals that one should have. You know, especially if you are Pan-African or you're someone who is for the community. And Marcus Klein is someone who represents that. You know, Baba Aruti represents that. Baba Amin represents that. The Marcus Garvey School in California represents that. You know, David Green in Brooklyn represents that. Man Up Organization in Brooklyn represents that. Even the Nation of Islam represents that. And these are people that I look up to, you know. And so for me, whom I mention around, it means a lot to me. You know, and I just choose, please don't mention me with that man. How this thing go down? Educated Smoker, what's up, sister? Yes, don't let people get your mentality. Yo, you wouldn't. I'm always angry. So my mentality, my bad. Y'all want me to send a link out? I didn't know if anybody want to join this one. Cynthia, yo, sis, shout out to you. Yo, I love hearing you talk. You are just such a powerful speaker. The Educated Smoker, yo, I swear you're my little sister. I swear you're my little sister. If I introduce you to my little sister Majesty, y'all are like twins, B. I love y'all so much. And no, I'm definitely angry. I'm definitely angry. You have to always be angry. You know, you have to control it. You know what I mean? And then once you control it and you can just direct it, it makes it calm. Because I'm always happy. You know, it's an opposite. Always be angry. You have to always be happy. You know what I mean? Have you enjoyed your angry, whatever. You know, and Penny Sparks, I plan to do even more work. You know, all of you. Please do not consider y'all. I don't want to discuss Umar Johnson, but Umar Johnson and I should not be mentioned in the same sentence. Do not look. You're on my timeline. I'm telling you right now. Do not mix with Umar Johnson School Institute. If you're a parent and you're trying to get your child out of the school system, you can email me. I don't like talking about that, man. I don't want to be mixed up with that brother. It's crazy. We got the same birthday. Don't mix me with that man. Please don't even bring his name up in my chat. You know what I mean? Like, just please, you know what I mean? It's just like, yes. I'm trying. You see, I deleted all my videos talking about him. Hopefully the school he bought is, you know, I don't want my community to look back at my generation and say, we didn't do nothing. And we wasted time and we BS'd. So you can look at Wagwan Wap, yo, baby. Baby, you want a belt? You want to? Oh, let me. Oh, hold on. Hey. See that angle? And then rub. We're gonna rub his back on that one. Yeah, man. Right now, I'm gonna thank my supporters because y'all have made this happen. You know, hey, you see, I told y'all, no throw up. Dads, remember the angle. Because the ladies be having, they got the breast thing going. See, as soon as he belts, she jumping. That's good. Let them get that little energy out. It's cool. But you see that angle like 30, 40 degree. Just rubber lightly tap right there. You know what I'm saying? Belch is right quick. Boom. You don't want to make sure. And then the reason why I like doing this one too, because when you feel his belly, if the belly too popped out, you can just suck your stomach in and then give his belly more room so there's not much pressure. Because sometimes you like putting a baby up here on the shoulder and trying to do it, and it's too flat right there in the bed. That's how that throw up be going. And tap soft or rub. But yes, our curriculum by I want to say next week, but I think I'm going to need a little bit more time. I swear, Cynthia, if I had you, I swear, Cynthia, you, Joe, Sister Queen Isis, if I had certain people all in the Google Hangouts with all of us at computers together, I swear, I dead was saying about that yesterday. I was working on the curriculum. I was doing the freaking session, and what you call it? And he was like, I'm like, yo, if I had the right people, because you know what it was? Y'all was doing a live feed yesterday, and the energy was just so weird. And I think, and I want y'all to take appreciation because y'all, Nyla, Cynthia, Ren, Taz, Twin, you know what I mean? Joe, that family over there really brought me into their family. And they didn't have to. They looked up, they looked out, and they promote. And it's a real down-to-earth family. And I really have genuine love for them. And it's different than, you know, a lot of the people I've met on the up, you know, I guess that weird level of the conscious community is like people think they're little celebrities. But you don't get that vibe, you know what I mean? And these people are genuine people, you see what I mean, that have real lives, you know what I mean? When Nyla sat up there and said, I ain't got to go back to Africa, I'm chilling here, but I own 2 wells in Africa, I've never heard nobody swag like that, B. And I'm proud to say that's my big sis, you know what I'm saying? So like, and she puts my link in every one of her videos, and that's, you know what I'm saying? Like that means a lot, you know what I mean? That means hell of a lot. You know, and we ought to take San Jose, man. Listen, y'all understand, B. I know y'all don't know me, but I am obsessed with work. You know, I don't know what kind of word it is, blessing, and people call it disorder, but I can't stop working. You know what I mean? So it's just something I'm conditioned with. Like I don't like to not. It's weird. It's a mental thing. So I don't have a personal life. Wagner, please email me at the Zyx Institute at Gmail or QButter. Please, we definitely, first and foremost, I'm doing the curriculum right now as we speak for U.S. history. The section I'm doing is 1800 to World War II. And when I'm telling you, I'm going in, you know what I mean? Lesson 1 is Germans rebellion. Then we go into I'm going to 1800s. We go into Virginia's what's it, the Virginia something? I don't have it in front. Hold on, might be like, yeah, King. Both of you come in, push-ups. There's no reason for y'all to be over there doing that. Did I say stop doing those push-ups? And I find what I'm looking for on my phone, then y'all can stop. So where is this at? U.S. history. Let me pull up U.S. Where was that at? I'm working on U.S. history, World War II, 1800 to present. Where's the one? Let me show you 1,500 to 1,800. I want 10 kids. We're not going to discuss that. All right, y'all can go back in there, though. If I have to talk to y'all again, will I have to talk to y'all again? Let me see a fake smile. That's what I'm talking about. DJ Moss, yo, what's good, family? Taylor Green, yo, this all the family, man. I just want y'all to be excited. Mwah, mwah. Yo, fellas, I don't know about all y'all, but I know I would have calcium and iron deficiency, and I had this. I don't like taking pills and the vitamins, and I'll tell you no lie, my hairline has been doing a lot better from it. So, ladies, fellas, I don't know how y'all doing. I don't know if I stop drinking milk or different stuff, but y'all, that's a new lock right there, B. Woo. I don't know. I mean, I be counting it. I got my widow's peak. This is real life issues, man. I'm thankful. You want to sleep? I'm sorry. You Daddy Rock. Hey, there you go. Show him Daddy. Go to sleep with Daddy. Let me see. We need way more black babies. Don't get me started, man. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. Look, he going to sleep. I only got 3 sons, and at this rate, they'll have 3 children each. I'm only looking at 9 grandbabies. That's not gonna work. I need to be at least 50 grandbabies. So back to the support. You know, our website has the capabilities and the virtual institute and the model that we have for our institute. We're using the Action Academy. I don't know if most people aren't familiar with that, but to our donors, once you know, we're using the Action Academy's model. And so we plan on building campuses and learning facilities around the country and using the learning facilities campuses in combination with virtual institutes, depending on, you know, the laws in any state we open up in, to create a network of institutions that are able to provide. You know, it's funny. The first black school was called the Institute. Able to provide educational services to our children everywhere, you know. And if you're homeschooled, you can enroll in our program and enjoy working with, you know, professional teachers, and myself, you know. And if you're an administrator, we're looking for someone to be a principal of our classes. So basically what is entailed in that is, 1, organizing the classes, maintaining the schedule of the volunteer teachers, maintaining the class engineers. I think that's what I'm going to call it, the person who actually runs the online class. So there's the teacher of the class, and either the teachers would have to be, so, you know, proficient in running Google Hangouts and setting up the class, or we have someone who maintains the class. I actually think I want to have just one person act as an engineer for the entire digital platform, just so that way we can have someone in the back end to help maintain that. So those are 2 definite people. We have Dr. G, and Dr. G, she's not online with me right now, but she is definitely in the ranking of that. But she's busy. So we need somebody who's available to be a principal. And that's what I kind of thought about you, Cynthia, because then you have that boss energy and you're mad smart. And I don't know how much time you got. I just know sometimes you be able to, it's not like you have to have open time. So you just can't be locked into a time. Hey, I'm still back here. Hold up 1 second. I had to switch up. I had to bring the baby to the Hey, baby butter. A baby butter. Hey, a baby butter. Oh man, my bad, y'all. So the supported look at this. I can't. I love showing this off, and I don't have enough space in New York. I don't really want to stay in New York with the. I'm staying in New York, but I want to do something different because.
My question is why? Wait. My question is why is Flash and Cyborg
Watch when I do this in St. Louis.
in this thing? And they're not even in Marvel.
Gentlemen, no games. I told y'all.
Why are they even in this game?
See that? I don't know about that angle right there. You gotta be hold and walk. You know what I'm saying? Boom, boom, bang.
He's not playing. Why is he playing?
Damn you! Ah, I'm back. Damn you, son. Turn my camera off. It's not my fault. It's just freaking Mac. I'm not on my laptop. Bum ass tower right here. What's this microphone thing at? Yes, what was I saying? Baby Cassia asleep. Yeah, my computer, this computer, I don't want to redo my operating system. I got to go buy another one. Where I be buying them from, my man uptown, I be getting them because he be getting them from his colleges and stuff. So I just wasn't able to go up there and get one. But with that being said, let me show off this right here. So when I said, why I don't want to be mixed up with certain individuals, right? You see, this is what y'all, the community, has been investing in towards. Yo, Benji. Life. How you? Regular-ish, my life-ish. Yeah, I'm wrapping this feed soon, but you see that right there? Certificate of completion. This is our, see that right there? That is our determination letter. Boom, boom, bada, bing, bada, boom, right there. Show that off with pride, man, because this, for me, is what I work towards. And you can just go onto the IRS website. Literally, you just type in Ziax, IRS, Ziax, charitable organization, look up, and we come right up. This document right here, Char 410, Char 410 with the Attorney General in New York allows us to do what? Yeah. Raise money in the state of New York. And this right here is the first property underneath the movement's name. So this will be my first time. This is my first piece of property that I own, and it was donated to me. But the brother wanted to donate it to the movement, but at the time we wasn't a nonprofit, this and that, and it took me 2 years to do it. So I got to do the exact same thing he did. Go to godeeds.com, and I'm gonna transfer. You see that? Pierce County. Cynthia, you said it there. This is Pierce County, Washington. I don't even know how to do this. He paid an order of $74, processing fee $5. I don't know how to do this. So I have to literally call them up, and it'll be my first time. But this is literally the deed. Yo, Cynthia, yeah, this is in Washington. This is a parcel that was donated to me, almost 3 acres. So when people say they don't want to do nothing, and it went up in value, when it was donated to me, it was only worth, how much was it worth? $26,000. I'm a renter. I'm not even gonna act like I own property. It was worth $28,000. It's now worth $32,000 about. So it went up in value. So this is to show you. You see, this is my parcels receipt. Yeah, I didn't pay them no motherfucking taxes. I got to deal with that. So I owed them $1,300. See, if you can't show your shit off, then you ain't playing. That right with a camera. But that right there, see. So I'll be paying this when I transfer it. The nonprofit won't have to pay this anymore. So the beauty of that, we won't have to pay this. Yes, Cynthia, this is Pierce County. I was emailing. There's a bunch of I want because this is getting transferred, and so in a couple weeks, you see my name right there. This will be owned by the Ziax the Movement, and so we can literally say, like, look, Ziax the Movement owns property in Seattle. I will be purchasing property for Ziax the Movement underneath our nonprofit in Detroit in the next 2 to 3 months, hopefully. And if anybody wants to help out with that, and that is a 1 to 2 year project to rebuild and establish a location in Detroit. So if you're interested in that, and that only starts with $2,500. Only $2,500 to do that. And what we got going on in in St. Louis, I'm so excited because all the donations that are going in, like if you donate it right now, that money is being divvied up and escrowed and portion of it is being escrowed to go to our new location. You know, and this is just stuff about our nonprofit stuff and programs and stuff like that. You know, blah, blah, blah. And good old receipts, man. Listen, see, and I gotta put together my last year's receipts, but I'm just showing because this is what we do. You know what I'm saying? So you should be able to show these off. I gotta put together last year's receipts, but you should. Yo, Taz, brother, yo, I need you, bro. Just one day a week, King. You know, like, please, man. I know you busy, beloved. I just need you one day a week, and if I could bother you just to look at the curriculum that I'm putting together, and I'm getting all the PowerPoint presentations together. This is our IXL license. This is year 1 we paid. I only did $350 this year. I gotta actually upgrade it this weekend. So I gotta pay another $350 to upgrade that. But that's an OSHA card that we paid for somebody. I don't even think they ever came and got it. This is somebody's OSHA card. I don't even know who this person is, but they completed the OSHA with us. 2017. Yo, Cynthia, yes, I definitely, please, need your help. The one day a week thing is super there. I ain't gonna lie, Cynthia, I kind of see you as like a big time administrator, and you're mad smart. So we have the biology component. I have the biology thing, and brother solving the race problem is supposed to be working with me to look at that over hopefully this weekend. But this the biology curriculum is there. I'm not a bio major, so it's gonna take me a little time to go through that. And references to the sciences, the only thing left is chemistry, physics. Excuse me, chemistry, physics, basic tooling, engineering, you know, electrical engineering, that bastard, but the main two is physics and chemistry. And literally, so what we're doing, just so you know, the lesson plans lay out first, you know, exactly what they want to learn in order. Then from the lesson plan layout, we basically create the folders for each lesson plan. And we're going around and downloading all the PowerPoint presentations from that we can find online, and we're combining them into one good PowerPoint presentation. And in that whole folder, Brother Moses, yes, you can. Brother Moses, man, I gotta call you. I just shouted you out too because I was just reading off the donations. But shout out to you, Brother Moses. But yes, that's what we're doing right now. So literally by the end of this week, today, we would have astronomy, earth science, biology, geography, anatomy and physiology, all of them organized and all of the documents downloaded. So phase 2 is what we'll be moving into next week, where we actually redo all of the presentations and actually customize them to our institute, meaning put our logo on it, delete out what we don't want, organize. The brother you hear teaching right now, he's an educator and he has way more credentials than me and experience. And so what he's going to do is actually take with phase 2 and align all of our PowerPoint presentations that we created and put together, and put the teaching standards and the models for our teaching standards inside of there. So the parents who are doing it, then they have, it's almost like, so if you were teaching about the oceans, you open up this presentation, it teaches the parent what the child is expected to know, give the teacher how to teach it, the grade levels and different things that's expected to be known. It has downloadables associated with the document so the parents can print it out. It has website links for all of the different stuff as much as possible, and online links. This is literally being done as we speak. Well, not right as we speak, but actually as we speak. I gave my daughter, she's been the one that's helping me, like, with, like, yes, if it wasn't for her, this curriculum, I've had help. Sister Isis, Brother Damo, Brother Sean, they've been tremendous. But Shalana, my daughter, has single-handedly did this curriculum, and I am so proud to be able to say that, because so I gave her like $100 yesterday, something like that. What you call it? Where am I at? Why is this like? Oh, there we go. Dr. Adaraya Jones. No, are you like doctor? Like, doctorate degree. No offense to you. I don't know who you are. I've met people on YouTube and conscious community who've had the prefix doctor in front of it. And I was like, oh, you're a doctor. Like, no, I just call myself a doctor. I'm like, wow, like I just can't call myself a mechanic. Like, you're gonna expect me to fix your car and shit. But if you are a doctor, I would love to be able to connect with you. I am always looking to add people to our education advisory board. What time is it? I gotta pay my rent. Hopefully you can meet the woman who owns the building soon. She's not a big camera person, but she's such a wonderful sister. And people sometimes, try to question like who's around me, what educational background I have. And I'm like, whatever, who cares? Do what I'm doing and then tell me, then talk to me. But she's on our advisory board and she's a principal, a beautiful woman who owns this building. Beautiful sister and very supportive. But I'm always looking to add more people with, the background in education to our board, to our advisory board for education, just so the people can understand, like, that we actually are dead serious about this, and the people that's associated with it are just as serious as the idea. Because you have people that have good ideas and they're just not around the right people. And so if you're not around the right people and you yourself are not a leader in your own life, your ideas won't come to fruition. And you'll spend more time being angry with people than actually accomplishing your goals. And I meet a lot of people like that. Let me see. Oh, y'all see that? I know the city sued me a lot of money for that right there. Is this where we at? Boom. Bada bing. Y'all see that? So this is the back door of our curriculum. No joke. You don't understand. I am so proud of this because there's nothing equivalent to what we have here. Go to science, and the parents will have this whole folder. And this is going to be all on the website. The countdown to this being on the website is soon. I just want to make sure everything's done, organized, and properly categorized. And once we put our teaching standards and models in there, it'll be up there. And then, like Brother Moses asked in the chat room, yes, if you can film the video. So let me give you, for example, anatomy and physiology. Here's why it's so important that the lesson plan map is done first, and which this one has to be done over. Well, it's there, but the lesson plan map we have is kind of descriptive, and I don't want to have one that's actually like that. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So this is descriptive. Like, it should just have introduction, anatomy, and physiology, blah, 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 blah. But we pulled this from different sources and we combined it. So this is our actual anatomy and physiology lesson plan. So anyone in our program and our institute, this is what they'll be taught for anatomy and physiology. And a parent would have access to this here, and then they would go into a folder, and boom, everything's inside of the folder. Then when you go inside of the folder, boom, what do you have? All of the classes you need, all the information by subject. Nothing is equivalent to this. And when I finish customizing each of the PowerPoint presentations to Google Slides, because we're pulling the information, I'm gonna have y'all don't know me. I know y'all do not know. People that know me that I have OCD, and I enjoy my OCD. And as you see, this is why what my OCD looks like. So astronomy completely done, and astronomy is almost done to phase 2, meaning that I actually filmed all of these classes, and I have to upload them. So I have to film the classes, I have the technical notes, and the presentations in there. So all of this is the phase 2 is going to be, like I said, adding in the teaching standards and the the testings, that the different tests associated with each subject. Nothing equivalent to this. Nothing equivalent. Math and ELA we're going to be doing separate. French, that's our second language, but we're going to be doing language on another thing there. But right now, focus on science and social studies, and going into U.S. history. So economics I have to do, and geography I have to do. But world history, I probably finished, and I have to just make sure I knocked out everything in there. But this is a very comprehensive curriculum in world history, and yeah, very comprehensive. I am just, you understand, I can talk about this stuff all day long. Where we be talking about some of the other stuff, but I don't give a damn about the other stuff. This is what I care about. So U.S. history, 1500 to 1800. So you see it's broken into 4 sections. Boom, the settling North America. Boom, these are the, you know, what's this, 8, 10, 14 classes. And so we're still tightening it up, make sure everything's there right. But like I said, very, very much detailed. So Taz, this is where I'm at right now. Taz, if you're still watching, this is exactly what I need your help with, Taz. You see what I mean? And if you're Wagner, if you're interested in doing history, because Taz, like I'm organizing it for you, for us, and that way you can just teach the class. You can, you know, go to the PowerPoint and teach the class how you feel like teaching the class, but the information will be all there. You know, so look, for settling North America, you know, we got the failed colonies, the Accidentio, the New France, Esteban, the first African slave in America. And I want to do a talk about your Taz. You got to look him up if you don't know him already, because he was killed by a tribe in America who's never seen a black person before. And he was killed in Mexico. And white people went and discovered his remains after to find out what happened for him, because he was hired as this person is a very important person in history. This person right here is very important. And he's the first black man to enter America on record. The Guadalupe slave rebellion of 1526 in North Carolina, the Dutch West Indian Company, the settlement of Jamestown, you know what I mean, the 13 colonies, Anthony Johnson. And I have to add, I think there's 2 other sections out there in there. And look at this 17. Come on, this is unequivalent. There's no kids getting taught like, you see this? Age of Enlightenment, First Great Awakening, the French Indian War, Virginia slave codes, John Punch, North New York slave revolt, Louisiana and the Code Noir, the New York City slave market, Sons of Liberty, the Boston Massacre, the Stonewall Rebellion, the New York Conspiracy 41, the Free Blacks Antebellum period. This is a sit when I am so proud of this. I have to just so if you want to help with history, this is exactly what you'll be helping with. So this is what my nights are doing. I'm literally in a session with a bunch of Crips and Bloods around me, and this is what I'm working on. Multitasking. You see what I mean? Titus Cornelius, the first free blacks African-American school, Benjamin Banneker, Declaration of Independence signers and the meaning to blacks, British loyalists versus American patriots. You know what I mean? Like we go in. And I got to tighten it up more because there's so much things that happen. Fugitive Slave Act, the Bill of Rights, Gabriel's rebellion plots, the Siege of Savannah. The Siege of Savannah, 500 Haitians came to the Americas to help fight for Black American freedom in 1779. Jean-Baptiste set up Chicago, 1780. We need our babies to know these things. You see what I mean? I'm so proud of this curriculum right here. Y'all don't even understand. You know what I mean? And to know that no equivalent. No equivalent. No equivalent. No equivalent. No equivalent. You see what I mean? And so I'm proud. Proud of our curriculum. Brother Butter. That's my man. Yes, shout out to the family. Yes, Brother Moses, collegiate level. Everything I do is at a collegiate level standard. We teach nothing. We don't teach no baby stuff. So the baby stuff is we give them college level information and we, regurgitate it to them in a way that is fitting for their age level. But the orbital period for the Earth, Kevin, come here. The orbital period for the Earth is the orbital period for the Earth. So however you teach it. You ready to show off on my live feed? Come in. And you wasn't here yesterday, right? Nope.
I was thrown up and stuff.
Yeah, you're throwing up. Come here, sit down. Let's show off. Let me see. Come on, man. Think. Describe the rock cycle, man.
Explains the life of rocks and how the 3 types of rocks transform into each other.
What's the 3 types of rocks?
Igneous, elementary, and metamorphic. Why am I on your live?
Let's see. Hold on. Let me see.
I'm on this live right now.
How does water contribute to the rock cycle?
Oh God. It breaks down the rocks.
No, I don't hear breaks down the rocks. What's the name of that term?
Erosion and weatherization.
Well, no, water doesn't cause a weatherization, brother. You owe me 10 push-ups. What's the second way that water contributes to the rock cycle? Come on, man. I want to hear that college level word. I got $1. Take Jill. Who wants to earn this some money right quick? Who knows? What's the second way water contributes to the rock cycle? So maybe go get Irene's daughters or go online and get Nico. Thank you. Say that again. Cementation, man. Thank you. Cementation, man. Hold on, back up, B. I wasn't even talking.
Erosion and cementation. How touch my paper.
Hey. You said they all want to show off, man. That's what I'm talking about. It was a light day today. Yeah, cementation, right? So hold on. So earlier this morning, what did I tell you? I said, look, if you're gonna go on YouTube to watch videos, what should you be looking up?
The rounded numbers.
Yeah, you should spend time researching. Right? So that's 2 ways the water contributes to the rock cycle. How does the atmosphere contribute to the water cycle? Talk about it. Let me see. Explain that to me. Shoot ain't got nothing. I don't even know what that is. Y'all walking away like y'all don't know it. Y'all don't know it. Y'all all doing push-ups, B.
How many?
I don't worry about the push-ups.
Okay. So what?
No, you looking it up? Oh, we had 20 push-ups, B. Y'all don't remember how the atmosphere contributes to the water cycle? It's where
the water is in the atmosphere.
It's where the water cycle mostly
is in the atmosphere.
No, it's where the water cycle mostly takes place.
Oh, place.
Because when water evaporates, it enters the
atmosphere,
and then it condenses and creates. Oh yeah, give me my push-ups, man. Get away from me, man. After he finishes, y'all lost y'all break time.
Wait, we already had 5 minutes.
I know, but after that, when y'all finish with him, y'all gonna go back over y'all work. Takari, you don't remember my answers? Huh? You got 3 questions. Sit right there. You either get $5 or 25 push-ups. He just earned 25 push-ups. Sit right here. Come on, let me show you off. What's the chemical composition of Earth's atmosphere?
78%.
Talk up. Put some bass in your voice, B.
78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and 1% other.
Describe our solar system.
Solar system is 4.6 billion years old, bro. And there are 2 types of planets.
But where's it located?
It's located in the spiral arm Milky Way galaxy.
Oh, the spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy? That's nice. Okay. And so tell me some more about it.
There are 2 types of planets.
There's 2 types of planets?
Yes.
What are they named?
Jovian and terrestrial.
Word.
Yes.
You remember the layers of the atmosphere?
Troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and exosphere.
Okay. There's 2 things that provide Earth a means of defense against cosmic radiation. What are they?
Field?
Earth's magnetic field and ozone layer. All right, that's my man. All right, my bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here. Got him. Get away from me, B. Here, take that and go. I got you, Kevin. Hold on. Here. Oh, my bad, table. 1 second. Here. Oh.
Actually, just give me all of that.
Yo, Akan Tribesman.
Man, you got shit.
No, you don't have to share. I gave that to him. Now, when he finish class, please be inspired to finish that work. Jalil, come here. Go ahead.
I know you're trying to punch my stomach.
Give my hug. Give my hug, man. So let me see. What are the layers of the Earth's geosphere? I didn't need you to repeat the question, so you got that one wrong. How is the Earth structured?
Earth structure in 4 spheres: atmosphere, geosphere, biosphere, and hydrosphere.
All right, cool. Yeah, you said them right. Describe or compare the temperature on the moon to the temperature on Earth. You remember that? We gotta go back over that one. But the answer is the moon experiences extreme temperature variations in temperature, ranging from negative 110 degrees to 160 degrees Celsius. Whereas on Earth, we only experience temperatures ranging from negative 40 to 120 degrees. That's my man. Let's see. Did I tell you I love you today? I love you.
Let's go.
That's my boy. My boys. All right, back to work. Mr. Robbins is waiting for you.
Okay.
Black Power. Oh, you wanted some change here? I think I'm gonna do this. Yo, this is a great tool for teachers. Get like a little 50 stack of some ones and just leave it in the classroom and let the kids earn it through the week. It's very cool. They just, I don't know why it works, but I don't like to make it a capitalistic thing, but get a little 50 stack of ones. Oh man, I'm just so excited. Let me see who's still around. Khadijah. Oh, you missed the baby. He was just here. How is Atlanta going, sis? I hope everything's going well. Congratulations to you. I am so proud of you. China White, sis, I love you, sis. Shout out to you and your king. Beautiful relationship. And I love your videos. You have all the relationship videos all the time and stuff like that. Pretty cool. Yes, I know a lot of us like money. I just don't want my children to, or the students to be inspired in that way by money, so I don't give money as a reward or as a loss. It just is what it is. Like you saw the first kid, he got $3 and he got a bunch wrong. Now, punishment, I do believe in punishment, but reward is what does that sound like? How could you believe in punishment and not reward, right? I know, but for me, it's just like I all day long I give them rewards. Being in this program is a reward, so they get tons of joy, love, hugs all the time. He said reparations is a legal term. What up, Q? Long time no speak. Reparations is a legal term, ain't it? I don't like the term reparations. I use the term I need my shit back. Hashtag need my shit back. Hashtag need my shit back. You know what I'm saying? Who is somebody that said they want to help us? I would like to network with you so you can have more outlets to market and promote your services as well as grow and moderate this group. Wayne Smith, shout out to you. That's beautiful for sure. It's beautiful outside. And let me read off some more donations. This is the Black Power, baby. 609 donations. Come on, man. That ain't. I done heard some real angry people about why they should have received. My bad, Khadijah. Ain't you in college? Don't be worrying about no damn babies. I ain't gonna front. My man really held it down today. 89 good. Shout out to you. Kadishia Archer. I think that's how you say it, right? Duncan Flowers. Oh, Tina C. Tina C's daughter is in the program. She is so beautiful. Anonymous. We have a lot of anonymous people. Gwen B. Oh, Gwen B. I love you, sis. You have been supporting since day one. Barnabas Shakur. We went to college together. And he wrote me, I know we haven't been able to catch up and we really should do lunch. Let me know when you can eat in February. Wow, my bad. So he probably wrote this in January. Babies are so cute, though. It ain't our fault, your fault. Shamika White. JR again and Shamika White. See? Kaleon Muhammad. Shout out to you. Dante Jefferson. You already know, beloved, what it looked like. Ashanti, Black Power, man. Love you. Cortland Hall. 89 good again. Anonymous. Deborah Burrow, man. Love you. Miss Lessie. Miss Lessie. Yeah, Shamika White again. Namaya Buckner. Love you, sis. Anonymous, $5. Ren Judah, right there. You see her again. Dreddy Kruger, baby. 89 was goody. Yo, my man Nicholas Chillis, man. Self-care boss. Oh, that's not the same sis as earlier. Oh, my bad. I thought it was the same sister. Shout out to you, sis. Devitra Jones. Yvonne Diva. Look, Phil from the advisory show. My man. Bonda Harris. Moses Jenkins. Like, Moses, you did a couple of them in here. Appreciate that, man. Miss Classy. Tariq Noel. Hudson. Oh, you donated 100. Oh, shout out to you. I didn't even realize that. My bad. I got somebody texting me for studio time tomorrow. Somebody else donated $500 anonymously. JR, again, Joey Adams, Carla Lewis. Yo, solving the race problem, man. Yo, I'm just shouting out to people that's I was supposed to call you. Shout out to solving the race problem. I'm texting y'all, and right when I started the video, he also, yo, you wouldn't believe, it was almost your text message. It's crazy how life be, but it's almost was your text message that made me not. I was doing a video saying white people are all racist, or white people are the issue, or something about the Black conscious community. And I got hit up by like 3 people. There's one woman in Chicago who I don't even know who she is. I don't know who the hell I was talking to earlier. Angela. Shout out to you, Angela. And just gave me the nicest compliment and wants to enroll her children in our program. Then the sister that's in the chat room. So this lady in Chicago, then the sister in the chat room, I don't know who she is, hit me up this morning. And I'm sending the links out. And then you hit me up. And then I was reading your text. And this is what solving the race problem text me. You know what I mean? And he has a set of microscopes that he wants to donate. And the challenge was that the microscopes came up to almost $400 to $500 to donate them and to send them over here. And that was just the challenge. But he kept hitting me up to let me know that he wants to find a way to do it, however he can do it. He even considered driving him to Philly so George Macon can bring him up here. And I just want you to see, like, this is what it's about, y'all. You see what I mean? Though this is him texting me today. I ain't called this man. I wasn't, yo, Simon, I even have his number saved in here. Peace, Q. I left your voicemail a couple of days ago. I didn't check, my bad. If it went through, I'm not sure, but let me know if you need to do some online, if you need me to do some online bio classes, which I do. So this is him asking if this is the brother in the chat room. And I'm gonna send you a couple of those microscopes. I haven't had a chance to make it back to Philly, so I'm just gonna kids shouldn't have to wait. I'm just gonna FedEx it. This is what Black Power is about, man. Like, I don't know how y'all be. Y'all hear Mr. Robbins in there? You see what I mean? Like, You know what I mean? Like this is, I don't know how y'all feel. You know what I mean? Like these are really professional people, and to have them invest into your plans, you know, to have people donate and watch and want to be involved, it's, I ain't gonna tear up on y'all on camera, you know what I'm saying? But it definitely get you right here, right there. Be like, oh, get on my face, get on my damn face. You know what I'm saying? That is, you know, it's an honor, man. Y'all really, I don't know what other people are having. Whoa. My bad. Oh, there we go. Let's see. Little 5 more. Nothing like being one of the top and to do mean one of the top of what you do. Is that Lovely Key from my Facebook? Oh no, Lovely Clyde. I don't know. Virtual hugs to you too, sis. How much time? Hold on 1 second, y'all. You ain't gotta blow it up. Come on. Yo, Mr. Robbins. Yo, Elizabeth. Elizabeth. Tell your mom I'm on my live feed. I might send her an invite. Tell your mother I'm about to invite her on my live feed.
I wanted attention.
Hey, now you know. I'm back. And guess who I got back with me? Baby Butter. I'm sorry, Khadijah. I had to do it. He woke up. Yeah. Baby Butter. So, let me see, read out some more of these donations. I haven't done this in a while. You know, I don't know if I was talking about black woman versus black man or some stupidness like that. I would have had a bunch of people trying to watch, but, you know, maybe I should have just put Tommy Sotomayor's name and Obsidian's name and Sonetta's name on a bunch of people's names. Oh, good look, sis. Oh, I didn't know that, sis. My bad. It looked like a shout out to you. My bad. Thank you. 3 hours max, not 2 for sure. Oh, all right. That's a light session. You know, you text me like you need mad time. I'm like, oh, we doing like 10 hours? You know what I'm saying? Like, we working 3 hours. I do that in my sleep. I literally be in this sleep like and mixing. You know what I'm saying? Legend. Let me see where we at. Tomorrow's our 15th. This year is 16th. All right, I'm gonna do a little 9 times 10. Let me make that 7 to 10. But shout out to Lovely. I don't know how to Clyde. Did I say that right? Clyde. I think yeah. 7 to 10. Yes, y'all. You're right. The and we right there. I already know, like, with the support, I can already see us knocking out the remaining $800 before the end of the weekend, and I can, like, I'm probably gonna raise it up to the next mark, and it'll either be $50,000 or $100,000 will be the next milestone. and y'all will all get to enjoy as I have growing this organization as a unit with all of us. You see the people in the chat room, the people like you can come on live tomorrow and you'll see brothers right there, Sean Zayek Brown in there. You know what I mean? So it's definitely, you'll see him in there, and plenty of us in here just nonstop working. And I can't wait to be in California with my man, Mr. Robbins. I can't wait since St. Louis is going down immediately. Like, we can afford St. Louis with the donation level we at now and stuff like that. We can afford St. Louis. California, certain areas is like, nah. Detroit, we can afford Detroit. It's just Detroit's really run down and it's empty. I don't want to be in an empty city. Hey, slow down, King. Slow down, King. Hold on. We ain't going nowhere. Look at this. Who's calling on that one? Right, King? This is 86 minutes? My bad. And it's 4:30. I got a session at 5. Oh, yeah. So I will be doing this talk for like 10 more minutes. I do like my sister says. She got everybody modded up on her thing.
Did you mean to call me?
Oh yeah, I was just doing a thank you video, sis, and I had walked in the room and saw your daughter's in the thing, so I was just telling people I'm mad thankful and stuff, and I just was sending the link out.
Hi, baby.
So your daughters have been in the program what, a week now, I think, or 2 weeks?
Yeah, and they love it. It's amazing. What you're doing is great, and I love that the kids are from all different places, and it's invaluable to people like me who live in I live in the mountains, and only white people move up to the mountains. White people and me and my man. So that's always good. That's good. It's an opportunity for them to interact with our people and our children. I love the poetry thing. I was hoping Liz got to read her poem because it was The Battle Must Be Won, but I guess I just had to write them down.
Yeah, that brother right there is a new addition on the team. Shout out to Mr. Robbins, man. He's a great brother. And just to find educators like a black male educator that has the time like that. Yeah, I didn't have to teach today. This is the first day I haven't taught in a long time. No.
That's good because you need a break.
Yeah.
You're putting in the most work ever.
Gotta put in more. When this curriculum is uploaded, and just here, I do all the editing on the website. So if you see some typos, don't curse me out. Just let me know because I'll be doing a lot of stuff and whatever. But when I upload the curriculum to the website, let me see if I can find, because I want you investing and putting your money into, and y'all understand like this is so you can be proud. So y'all can say like, yo, we helped build this, and you can see it and touch it and know like y'all helped pay for that website. This curriculum is getting built by y'all, and damn, where are you at? I'm just so excited. It's Friday. I got mad energy. The love is out the roof. What was I looking for just now?
You're looking, I think, for something to do with your curriculum.
I've been showing the curriculum off all day. No, you can't eat my fingers.
Aww.
Whatever. But something I was going to show off on the website. Oh, no, I was going to show you Virginia State website. So I'll just tell you about it. Virginia State's website for their education is one of the most organized and detailed websites for education in the country, if not the world. They spent a lot of money on their website. And my goal is to make ours better with no money, you know, with the little bit donations we've received. Not to say little bit, but just in comparison to having a, you know, a $500,000, $200,000 budget like Virginia EDU has, you know, we're working with just our little pennies, and our curriculum is going to be more detailed and more organized than theirs. And I'm just hype about that. Like, y'all don't understand. Like, and it's available to the world for free. Like, once we do this, you sign up into the program, and because Irene will tell you. So, like, one of the challenges we have now, if you go in there, and Irene you actually was helping me do it, trying to figure out the Google, what do you call that thing? Google Suite, right?
Yeah, so that we can facilitate more children at a time.
Yeah, to be able to handle the.
I think it's definitely a worthwhile cause, because it's something that you can see and that's already benefiting our children. And so we want to make sure, and that's what I was saying about the all Black male charter school too, is we want to make sure, but Q Betters, I feel his institute is better because it's not attached to the state or the government. And so that allows the freedom to really be centered and focused on our people and really put attention to our own children without interference. And that's work is already being done. So, but we do need, you know, so if anybody has ideas, I don't know, can anybody hear me? If anybody has ideas as to how we can facilitate larger class sizes, so that for the sake of student interaction, I mean, that's really what it's about, because obviously the kids could be broken up, but their ability to communicate with each other, I think is what really special. And so we were thinking Google Suite, but even then there's like a cap on that. There's a maximum that you can, and how that will flesh out and how that will look is yet to be seen. So if you guys know of other things, that would be helpful. And if you guys know of nothing but want to give money, please give money.
I should have rocked. He got me, y'all. I shouldn't have been rocking him.
You threw up on daddy, baby.
Yeah, he got me today. And it's funny because earlier I was like, I don't get thrown up on. That was the third belch. I was the third one. So I got 2 out of 3.
See, when you brag, you get thrown up on. See? Tell daddy to be humble. You won't be throwing up on it.
Right, that felt good, huh? A little throw up I've never heard. So, but yes, we need to. If you have any ideas as to how we can actually do the class, I was talking about earlier. I was telling Cynthia I could see her as like an administrator or a principal. We need a principal. And you will be administering or coordinating the multiple. I can even see Irene doing. I can actually see you doing it, sis. Like running not the classes, but no, running the classes where we have 5-10 classes being at the same time. Yes, somebody with high functioning organizational and comprehensive skills. And
I said I'm down for whatever, but I will say that with the caveat that anything I do, I would want it to happen, like start toward the end of next month, just because I told you I'm going to be traveling. Yeah, and so I don't want to, but I'm down to help with whatever. And obviously volunteers that are really committed though, y'all, like if you're going to be flaky, or if you only have, sporadic things to offer, like I think that can be beneficial too. But for the actual grunt work, like to really be available, that would be amazing. So if you don't have money, but you have time, if you don't have time, but you have money, if you don't have money or time, but you have ideas.
Word, whatever, everything goes to the pot. Yo, my man Sean, he comes through literally for a half hour in the morning, just so that way if I don't go home, I can sleep a little longer in the studio, wherever I knock out at in here, just to get extra time so I don't have to be, like that little bit of time, and he comes through and cleans up and just organizes the classroom and leave. And like, this right there in the chat room, Sean Big Homie Brown. You know what I'm saying? Big cowboy, big Crip cowboy. You know what I'm saying? So when people be saying it online, how the Pookies and Ray Rays and the gangsters don't want to work, I can't say that. You know what I'm saying? Because one of my first volunteers is Big Homie Crip, and he's been involved since for almost 3 years. every day, every Saturday volunteering, help do the curriculum. And he'll tell you, like, I don't know what I'm doing with this curriculum, but he was on the phone like, look, I'm going to figure it out. His certificate, you think I'm joking? Look, let me like how much of a community person I'm about. You see that? Just so you can see what I'm talking about. I ain't going to show his first name right there. But you see that? That's him. That's what Black Power looks like. Right there in the chat room. And Damo was in there too. Damo right there. Boom. You see Marsha McQueen right there. We all got that. That certificate only need one of them for an organization. And it's worth $1 million. You want to get over $10,000 to $1 million in any type of discretionary funding from any city agency in New York City, they require you to have that document.
I think we shouldn't judge each other based on like the so-called Pookies and Ray Rays anyway, because some of the most active people I know, I have a good friend that I've known since we were kids, who was indicted and went to prison on drug charges, on federal drug charges. And he's one of the most active people I know in the Black community, supports whole families, between his travel and his work, like really puts himself out there for our people. So I think sometimes, we equate squareness to being for our people. And, these square people are some of the ones that actually are doing the most damage. And it'll be the ones that we snub our noses at who are putting in the real work.
Yo, that is such a fact. You know what I mean? Because it's just not even being open to being liberated. A lot of squares are just like their acclimation to the system won't even allow them to see, a processing of outside thought as something that is, could be positive. To them, it's like, no, you're just trying to be against the system. You're just trying to be like, no, bro, like you can, and I hate when people say left brain, right brains. I meet a lot of people like that because when they meet me like this. And I try to be extremely this up front. And then I'll let them hear me talk. And then they be like, he sounds smart. But I don't let them get to this part yet. It'd be a while before people are like, hold on, Q is no joke with paperwork. No joke with paperwork. They be like, oh, damn, you don't joke. But you let them judge.
Yeah, I think that's unfortunate. But I think sometimes what we have to remember as a people is like, for those of us who grew up, because I grew up in an upper middle class neighborhood, but it's easy to forget if your life is comfortable that everybody's life is not like that. And the minority and the exceptions don't prove the rule. And as Black people, we have to be concerned with the rule and not the exceptions. And your life may be the exception, but we need to be worried about the collective, because at the end of the day, we're judged and we're viewed as a collective. So to have an individualistic mindset as if your personal situation has anything to do with the plight of our people, or even what your children will deal with, or what you will deal with at some point in time, I think is very ignorant. And I think we just have to remember that. But a lot of people, they don't know any better. So we just approach them with love and we give them an opportunity to learn that they're wrong. I had a white boy in my comment section, whining about, he was on my reparations video. And he was whining about this and that. And, I wasn't really trying to engage him and he was upset. But I was like, some conversations I can't have because some people are very based in their thinking. And so if you start from that place, like it may not be worth it to me to engage you, especially if you're white. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But a lot of our people are of the same kind of heart, is they start with ideology that is immature and lacks wisdom and research and knowledge outside of the superficial. And so I think it's great that when you approach people, you approach them like you are right now, because it helps people break down their preconceived barriers of what they think somebody who's legitimately for our people and who can make changes in our community looks like, and what that, and what that looks like to them often is what white people say that it should look like. It's that acceptable Negro to them. It's that Uncle Tom that will be acquiescent to the system and tell everybody to go along, get along, right? Or it's that Sambo that'll tear their own people down for the benefit of whiteness. And they can't see anything else. They can't see a revolutionary mind doing work for our people because that's not what's promoted.
Nope. And then then they get jealous when it's funny, like when I be around, and last time I worked for somebody was like 11, 12 years ago. And when I got laid off, the sister who was the one that was like the head of my site, she knew it. And I would never feel, I'm like, how you not gonna tell me that I'm gonna get laid off? And I was having my first one. And I was like, that was the most, and the white dude that fired me, when he laid me off, he was like, yo, Q, you should set up your own program. And I always think about that because I'm like, I got my own program now, Cracker. You know what I mean? And she, internally, the hate was that, you know what, yo, Q doesn't have my degree and Q don't have my history, but if Q is given the opportunity, they would fire me for Q in a heartbeat. And Q don't need me. And, you know, that was my last experience dealing with Negroes, because I ain't got the time to be competing with the Negro mindset. You know what I mean? Like, that's just what it is. Like, I'm not going to be sitting here, especially when you're trying to pander to white people to look good. Like, I don't pander to white people, and I really don't pander to gay people. So if you're white, you really got an issue. But if you're gay white, you really got a problem. You know what I mean? Because just because you're white don't mean I won't rock with you or listen to you. You know what I mean? That's just the norm, the average. But you're gay white, I'm not listening to you. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to, you know, educating babies. Nah, B. Like, nah, if you're talking about, you know, what colors should go on the wall, you know, types of paint, you know what I mean, and different stuff, maybe, but nah, B. You know what I'm saying? And so this sister, you know, that's why I got laid off. And I had the top program in this program, Brooklyn College, and they had to lay me off because Century 21 grants got infused with Planned Parenthood, and Planned Parenthood pushed New York City to start the gender wars. And so in 2009, when they started the gender wars, they started that shit inside of the nonprofits, and I had to go. They was like, look, I said, excuse me, I don't know what you're talking about. The sex and gender is the same thing. I'm sorry. When did they change that? And that was a big issue, you know. And for me, what the bigger issue was that the black sister who knew what I was there for and about didn't, you know, at least warn me. You didn't have to protect me. You could have just told me, like, yo, Q, look, they don't like you because you ain't rocking with the gays. You fired, but they're gonna give you a Cobra package. And she didn't even fight for my Cobra package. It was a white woman that fought for my Cobra package because she knew. She like, look, Q, we can't keep you because we respect you, but we're not gonna fire you and just let you go like that. So we're gonna lay you off and give you Cobra. But if it was for that black lady, I wouldn't even got Cobra.
Yeah, that's a problem. I feel like the problem with white society, I don't have I don't hate white people. I have a problem with white people, but I don't hate white people, obviously. But I do recognize that, you know, they are trying to remake their colonized lands into the image of Rome and Greece, which are what they herald as the best of them. And unfortunately, Rome and Greece were disgusting places with debaucherous people. And so a lot of this push toward the gay agenda and pedophilia and, you know, child murder and, you know, men being sexual objects in the place of women, like all of these things come from their Roman and Greek history that they herald as the best of themselves. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're not going to roll with that, they're not going to want you. And obviously that woman, she could not have protected you. But we do need to be looking out for our own. Because when push comes to shove, I think what so many of us fail to realize is when push comes to shove, you're going to be looked at as Black before anything. Like all the benevolent racists who love you, because, you know, white people can have affection toward like a singular Black person. But the affection a white person feels for you is not the affection they feel for all Black people. They might feel like you're the exception to the rule, and so they're okay with you. They'll help you get ahead, but recognize that when you walk out into the world, like, we're viewed as a collective. So we have to have each other's backs just on the strength of that. Because before they see anything, they're going to see your clear identifier, which is going to be that brown skin. And that's going to set the framework for everything that they think about you and every move that they make with regard to you. But so many of our people forget that. They would like to think that, you know, they can somehow make all white people view them the way that small group of white people that they get along with views them. And that's just not reality.
I'm listening, my bad. I think he went another bottom. You know, look at that little face when he cried. Look at the little fuck. Oh my goodness. Come on, Black man. Black man, you got to love babies, man. Don't be scared. I know it's scary at first, but this is just so beautiful. Look at, they only cry for like 3 reasons. My butt itches, I'm really hot, or I'm hungry. So I'm like, one of y'all talk. Yo, what's good? Yo, y'all can tell me go handle his diaper a bit in his bottle real quick.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll talk.
Yeah, that's good. Go
Black
ahead,
Ambassador,
sister.
are you there? Okay.
Yeah, can y'all hear me? I'm just trying to make sure you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I'll just hop in for a little bit because I did hear you talk about, quote unquote, you know, what we used to do. We're not doing that no more, hopefully, is reaching across that aisle. I think like the sister had spoke about, when we continue to reach across this aisle, we forget about, let's say, just the evolutionary history of particular groups of people and the psychological conditions which they find themselves in today. And even at the end of the day, like I said, when you get down to the reality of the situation, there's no amount of laws on the books. There's no amount of, you know, accommodation acts, voting rights that will make another people choose between their own children and your children. And with that being said, you really have to focus on your community and your group of people. You're going to have to organize accordingly. And I think that's something that we haven't realized for a long time. And I would even stretch it beyond the shores of just North America, all the way back going to Africa, the continent. But like you guys said, when you said, hey, you know, I don't waste too much time trying to reach across that aisle. I think that's the most important thing, because there's a lot of energy we have to use, a lot of spirit, a lot of soul that we use on other people, trying to convince them X, Y, and Z. And the craziest part is that you should be speaking to your base that has a higher probability of understanding what you're saying, meaning like they could understand it in some shape, form, or fashion. Maybe not all of what you would talk about is European oppression or the different types of discrimination and stereotypes and etc. that we get from other people, what I call anti-Comedicism. But I think that I know that when we do use that energy on our own people, it's 10 times even more valuable. So it's not about us reaching across the other aisle, because then at the end of the day, too, your destination or your liberation is dependent on another group of people. And that's very subjective, instead of being the creator and the architect of your own destiny and basically saying, my people will be liberated and will live a high quality standard of life and will thrive and will rise again, regardless if you grant it or not, whether you're here or not. So we need to start really creating our own reality outside of whether Europeans, Arabs, Asians, or any group actually exists, period. Because like I said, I could even look down here in South America where I find myself, and the Africans, the descendants of Africans that were brought here down in South America find themselves in the same type of predicaments. What you got over there?
Oh my goodness.
I don't drink, but this is what I do drink. It is the craziest combination.
What is that?
It's a pina colada bartenders, like for non-drinkers, but like if you want to drink, you know what I mean? If you really can't drink like that, but you want to be in the club, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and then you mix it with the Simply Lemonade with the fruit juice. Yo, bruh.
So you got some libations there.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a different Q in about 20 minutes. I'm about to transform. So I'm letting you know.
You about to transform into the ancestral realm, huh?
Yeah, classes are over. All right.
I hear that, man. I hear that.
Baby.
Most definitely. I'll step back and let the sister talk.
No, I just was going to agree with you because something that I'm working on now, and it's taking me so much longer because I think I might have to edit down because there's just no way I could do the content justice, is a short documentary on Black people, like the diaspora throughout the world, and not just, part of the diaspora that is because of slavery, but Black peoples who are in different parts of the world where we associate that with whiteness. Such as Asia, Europe, places like that, that are not there as a result of slavery. The Fijian Islands, things like that, where, their migration happened prior to slavery. And how the oppression looks the same throughout the diaspora based on our skin. Nothing more than the fact that the people are nothing more than Blackness. And I think that it's such an important conversation to have because a lot of people think that we can reason our way out of, like, I've literally heard it say, like, reparations haven't been given because we haven't taken the right approach. We haven't made the right argument. We haven't approached it the right way. And I'm like, well, then you are either very ignorant or you're living in a delusion as to the reality.
Say it again.
Of what.
Say it again, sis. I'm sorry.
No, you're either in a delusion or you're ignorant of the reality of how these people move with regard to us, those who look like us throughout the globe. And it is not about our approach, and it's not about the argument. Some people just aren't about you. And I think Black people have been taught by white people that if we speak in just the right way, if we look just the right way, if we play the right game, if we're willing to admit all of these faults in us that they created, right? Like all this criminality, the fact that we are not intelligent, despite the fact that even the fact that we're on the internet right now is attributed to a Black person. Do you know what I mean? But all these falsities they have created to uplift themselves and debase us, like if we will pander to that, then we can get them to accept us and view them as they view themselves, without the reality that everywhere they go and encounter people like us, the oppression looks the same. And with this fragmentation of the diaspora that's being pushed by the ADOS movement, I have a problem with the acronym ADOS. I don't have a problem. Well, I mean, I have my feelings on reparations. I'm not going to try to harm any movement that our people are involved in, but I think some people just need to learn things the hard way. With all that going on, where we're kind of being encouraged to turn on each other, I think it's important that we recognize that the way that they treat us is the way that they treat us all on a global scale. And without unity throughout the diaspora, then we have nothing. We can accomplish nothing. So when we turn our back on the Fijians, which are kept in abject poverty in their own country, when we turn our back on the Aborigines in Australia, who have been annihilated to the tune of only 700,000 of them being left, when we turn our backs on those, who are part of the diaspora in the Andaman Islands, the Nicobar Islands, where literally we're watching their entire populations be killed. The one population that fought back, they killed them all. 4 years ago, the last member of their tribe died. So when we choose to ignore that, when we choose to ignore what's going on in Haiti and how Venezuela and Cuba linked with Haiti to help try to buffer them from what white people were trying to do, which was oppress them because they had gained their independence. When we try to act like that has nothing to do with us, or, Cuba going into South Africa and helping them gain their independence from apartheid, when we are ignorant to all these things and all these movements that are happening around us, when Africans are going into Venezuela for conferences on how to decolonize lands, but in America, we're like house slaves. And we don't want to talk about decolonization. We want to talk about integration 3.0 or integration 2.0, as JV likes to call it.
I think it would be 3.0. That would be
3.0. Yeah. We
Yeah,
need to
because we have
come
the
out of that
same
mindset.
3.0.
Right. We need to come. We don't recognize that we are the house slaves of the diaspora, like we really are in America. We don't recognize that. And we don't want to become the uncle. You know, I have a video, Uncle Tom and Sambo were both villains in my eyes. You know, there is, Michael Mack said, a Negro revolution and a Black revolution, right? And these things look different. The Negro revolution believes that we can pander to whiteness to gain their approval of who we are. The Black revolution realizes that they will never approve of us, and we need to stop seeking their approval and seek our own liberation at our own hands. And we have to get to that place where we understand that, because as Blacks in America, we're so comfortable and we're so detached from the rest of the diaspora. And we are so indoctrinated by white media and the teaching in white schools, which is why I appreciate Q Butters Institute. And this is so important. We have our own spaces to educate our own children. That we really don't get what's up. Like, we're very lost as to positioning and the position we need to be playing in this war, because we are at war. And I think a lot of us forget that.
Yeah, most definitely. I just wanted to add a little something, especially when you were talking about Blacks just across the world and how we're scattered out across the world. It was Dr. Amos Wilson. He was taking a hard look, or should I say, or I will say, the Honorable Dr. Amos Wilson. He had said and spoke of the diaspora of Europeans, and he was not looking at the colonization and imperialism as that, which it was Europeans spreading themselves across the world and conquering different lands and territories. And in conquering different lands and territory, they always parceled out the money to ensure that the center of the empire, which was the peninsula of Europe, actually got majority of the shares. And it wasn't so much it was, of course, included the peninsula of Europe or Eurasia, but also it was the bodies and the invaders that actually went to the different lands. It was the exploiters in South Africa. It was the exploiters in the Ivory Coast. They were the quote unquote diaspora of Europeans, that pan-Europeanism that actually parceled out all the wealth of those nations, whether that be Africa, the continent of Africa, or, South America, or the Central America, et cetera, et cetera. So when we look at our situation, instead of, like I said, dealing with it and all the negative connotations that we have to say, okay, we've been oppressed, X, Y, and Z, we got that. So now we have to look at it and say, okay, us as Black people, as Africans, descendants of Africans spread out through the world, we have to counteract our position in different cultures and extract their wealth. Of course, at the end of the day, you also have to know that come push to shove, they will also annihilate you from within those borders. So you have to build in such a finesse and complex way that you can try to deceive the enemy, because at this point, the enemy will not be had by easy tactics of just pressing a button or, voting for one presidential candidate or a hashtag. It is not that simplistic, and especially liberation at this point. No, it's not going to be as simplistic as a hashtag or going to vote for a certain presidential candidate. It has to deal with a lot of different things. Not even only politics, but economics, but even beyond just what we call politics and economics, we have to start defining that through our own realities, our own values, our own attributes. It was Dr. Amos Wilson who said, we have everything and we haven't changed too much from where we used to be in the places that we used to be, quote unquote, what they call enslavement, what I call imprisonment, is we haven't changed from what we used to have back then. Meaning that our status and our position is still the same. We still work for our oppressors. We still, whether we're a computer scientist, whether we're a mathematician, whether we're whatever we may be, we still work for other people's nation and other people's development. And when we really look at the dynamics, the European constant or other groups constant remain, that they are the masters and overseers, no different than our ancestors who were on the plantation and working in the fields or building DC, Benjamin Banneker. Like, it does not matter. At the end of the day, you're building another people's nation instead of building your own. Even, no disrespect to the sisters, but even to our ancestors who put in that work, the Hidden Figures, those movies that those sisters were represented. I mean, what did they end up doing? Of course, this is not their intention, but working for the master in European domination to put satellites in spaces to rain terror and hell on different places in the world, especially in particular Africa, or recolonizing it through Colin Powell, or recolonizing Africa through Barack Obama. So we have to really take those situations and realize that we have to really change the dynamics and the position that we sit in. But we have to have institutions like Q Brothers institution that teaches this African-centered information, this liberation without integration or assimilation, this liberation of intellectualism, politics, economics. We have to create our own, because also the world, in order for it to be the way it is, the European turns everything backwards. People who have, quote unquote, the most mineral resources in the world are perceived to be the poorest, but the poorest people are actually the Europeans or other different groups who need actually Africa. And Africa is not dependent on Europe, but what's the crazy part is Europeans are very dependent on Africa. But the perception and what people believe and what they will intellectually, quote unquote, explain is quite the opposite. So we have to switch those dynamics tenfold, even more than that. We don't have to follow suit. And I don't say we're Chinese or we're China and we're like the Chinese people, but we can really take a long look at how they came to be so powerful in the world that they are currently. And we'll find that they have changed the dynamics. When the Europeans said, this is how you do international trade, you need foreign investment, China did what? Kept out foreign investment. No one's going to invest in the nation more than its own people. No one has the most interest of its own nation than their own people, not foreign investment. Most Europeans trade amongst themselves, quote unquote. That's how they accumulate all their wealth. So at the end of the day, China understood that they needed to change the way they went about economics, politics, even quote unquote government and intellectualism, and even religion. If you go to China, you understand that the religion is not what we have as Christianity or Islam. But they understood that they needed to create their own space and name their own space by their own name in their own languages and drive their own cars. So even if you look at the hip hop today, quote unquote, trap music that goes to China, if you look at the context of the lyrics, they're telling, people that all the girl is made in China, their whip and their car is made in China, their ping pong that they play is made in China. So they're usually taking that art and having a purpose to it. So everything inside China is almost transformed for the centeredness of their own people and the progress of the nation as a whole. So that's something that we really need to look in. Yes, they don't have Facebook. Yes, they can't Netflix. But I'll tell you what, they won't have opium wars and Europeans dumping heroin or opium, on their shores and killing their people in mass numbers anymore. Same thing almost goes into North Korea if you really take a long look at it. So I think we have lessons to learn, not saying that we are just like them so we can make a carbon copy. Heck no, because we are Africa. And even though they say all these other things like, oh, it tends to be, the Sahara got dry and this is what happened, or we did this and this is why Africa is exploited. All those reasons. One of the biggest reasons is because we do have everything that the world needs. And it's in the best interest of everybody in the world to ensure that Africa stays in the place. So like John Henry Clark had said, the African has no friend in this world but himself. And that's after over, excessive years of research and studying.
I'm so glad you brought up Amos Wilson. But before I get to him, I just want to touch on the fact that we have to recognize, I don't know what our forefathers were working with, but every place where Black people are the indigenous people, be that Africa or in the Asias, anywhere in South America, wherever we are the indigenous people, right? The land is rich and the resources are great. It's like our ancestors position themselves in all the best places of the world. And when we look at Europe and the places that we associate with whiteness, they are barren places with an unhospitable climate and with very few natural resources. And so that has made the Black population, and when I say Black, I mean those of us who share this skin, it has made us a target because everywhere that we are is where everything that they need is. But I also think it's interesting you brought up Dr. Amos Wilson, because Q-Better, when I was saying I was hoping the kids would get to read their poems, the poem that Liz was going to read was one that is featured in one of Dr. Amos Wilson's books, which is a book I feel like we all need. Because we talk about Black Lives Matter, and then I will get killed because I'm like, Black lives do matter and police violence is bad, but we need to stop serving white people by killing each other. Like, that's an internal conversation I want to have. And he wrote a book called Black on Black Violence, the psychodynamics of Black self-annihilation in service of white domination. And in the forward of that book is a poem, The Battle Must Be Won, and it speaks to a lot of what you said. And I'm not going to read the whole poem, but I do want to just touch on some parts. It says, no nation, no civilization has come to the fore without new organization. And that's what we really need to be seeking, is new organization. Without new thoughts, without working, without actually doing, without being willing to take a chance and willing to risk all, which is our comfort in this society. A lot of times, like the brother was saying, we think we can vote our way out of, we think we can, I did a series that was not very popular on my channel called Cognitive Revolution. And I touched on white people's scholars writings about how they stop revolution. And one of the things was that they allow you representation, but not enough representation to change what the status quo wants to do. And that is exactly why we cannot vote our way out of anything, because the vote that we have and the representation we have is to make us feel that we have a voice. It's not to actually give us a voice or a choice. But we are very, it also talked about the indoctrination by the schools so that you have faith in the government and you have faith in that system. And that's so interesting because in this poem, it goes on to talk about how that institutions, traditions, habits, hopes must be uprooted and put to the torch, which means they need to be burned and destroyed. The institutions, the traditions we're used to under, white barbarianism or domination, right? The habits that we've developed, the hopes that they've instilled in us to have, which is that if we are just good enough, if we just work hard enough, if we just pander to their system enough, if we just get enough votes out, if we just get enough representation, things can be different. We need to put all those things to the torch. And I think that is something, it's so hard. And that's what I recognize, is that it's so hard when you have been so deeply indoctrinated and your mind has been so conditioned, because the books you read, right, when you go to the library, almost all of them are written by white people, right? When you turn on your television, all that programming is controlled by white people. When you turn on your radio, when you walk out into the world, how the streets are developed and the stores that are in your neighborhood, all of these things have been fashioned. The ultimate control is white people. Our society is so geared toward the belief of white supremacy. There's even people who believe that you can never overcome it. That there's actually no way to overcome white supremacy, that racism is a permanent fixture, with whites being on the top. This is the depth of our indoctrination as a people. And we have to recognize that we have to push by, like the leader of Black First Land First said, you have to kill the white man in your head first. And then you'll be able to deal with the real white man, right? But we have to kill the little white man that we have been trained to have since our birth, that our parents have been trained to have since their birth. And we have to kill our faith in a system that is designed to keep them in a dominant position, and recognize that without putting these institutions, these systems, as Amos said, to the torch, without recognizing that this cannot be salvaged, this must all be destroyed and be rebuilt, we will never see our liberation. It will never come at the hands of negotiations and pandering to terrorists. It just will never happen.
What up, y'all? I'm back. I heard remove the white man out your head. Get that crack out your head, son.
I knew you was gonna say.
Get the crack out your head, son. Yo, Irene, my pops. I remember when I turned 19, and I was on my Black Power stuff. I had my big pro-black flag and all this, my little pick. My pops was like, What you gonna do without the white man? Yo, we got into the biggest argument. And he was like, look, man, you ain't doing nothing without the white man. And that's yo. And then at the end of this thing, he said, Q, you think this is about the white man? And I was like, what? Best lesson one of my pops ever gave me. He said, the whole point of me telling you this is when you can answer the question, then you're ready for black power. But if you can't answer the question, what are you going to do without the white man? You can't talk about black power. And then once I finally got to that part of the conversation, then he could say, so Q, are you going to use the same type of porcelain to make your toilets? Are you going to use tar? Because he said, what happens is you're a Negro. If you went back to Africa, you would be an enemy to Africa. And so to this morning, when I was reading the history of Liberia and the first president of Liberia and how his description of Liberia, you would not be able to tell the difference between his writing and a white man's writing. And this is the founder of Liberia, a black man. But the original Liberian idea was created by the American Colonization Society. And that's why he was a cracker. You see what I mean? And so he was really just spewing cracker stuff. And had he, like my father said, what you gonna do without that white man? Oh, well, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start growing some trees back. I'm gonna fix our water up. I got a new way of bottle. We don't have to bottle water up. Well, we got a new way of doing this. We're gonna do this. Well, they may start to make it to we're gonna do this. And then we can say, hold up, we don't need you for 99% of the things that we have. And the 1% we do need you for is to clean up the shit you left. And you know what? We don't even want you to deal with the shit you left. So we clean up with clean up the oceans. You know, and then that really inspired me to be, you know, who I am today. We got to, you know, yeah. Damn, that was that long-winded?
No, but a lot of Black people do believe that we can't survive without white. I mean, heck, Jesse Lee Peterson is making his whole coin off of making that claim. But I think you want to be a ninja, okay? But I think can you sit down so I can reach you? I think that what we have to recognize is that the way that things are now is not the only way they can be. White people have instilled in us that the society that they have created. Oh, baby, don't disagree with me till you hear me out. White people have us thinking that the only society that's going to work is the type of society they have created, which is built on the exploitation of other people and the destruction of the earth. And it's built on harming other people and annihilating anybody who refuses to conform to your mindset. And that's simply not the way we are. But I think that strengthens us, which is the loving nature that we have, the forgiving nature, the openness to diversity that we have has been our downfall. And so I'm with the brother who was like, we don't want to become like them per se, right? Obviously, we don't want to become like white people, okay? Because they're evil, right? We don't want to become evil. But what we do want to do is we're going to have to make some, exceptions. Like I said, the leader of Black First Stand First was like, for every one of us that you kill, we will kill 7 of you. We'll kill your women, we'll kill your children, we'll kill your dogs. We're going to just go there. And when he was confronted with that, they were like, oh my gosh, the violence and da-da-da. He said, but if you don't want violence, leave us alone. Right? The problem with white people is you can leave them alone and they will still be violent, right? It's not good enough for them to be left alone, because if they see you eating a piece of pie, they can't be happy with theirs. They have to come over and take yours. And so we don't want to become that way. We want to be able to defend ourselves, build for ourselves, teach ourselves, grow our own, and not engage in what they engage in, which is the massacre, destruction, and domination of other people who don't want to conform to our ideology. And a lot of what I hear sometimes is like, we want to become like them. Our talking points start sounding like their talking points. So we have to be careful as we move forward that we maintain what we are and we never become like what they are, because the way that they are is vile. And it's the problem with the world today. Like, they have caused the problems of the world today. We have to engage in that decolonization of our minds and the literal decolonization of this earth, right? Without ever becoming like the colonizer. That's not the goal. We don't want to be like, they wrote a book. What did one of their people write a book called Animal Farm, and all the pigs started turning into men? We don't want to become them. We don't want to transform ourselves into them. That should not be our goal.
Yeah, most definitely. I hear that 100%, and I would agree also. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce the book correctly, but please don't let me slaughter it. Yurugu. You know what I'm talking about? African Critique of European Thought and Behavior. I will put that in the link. I don't know. Sister, have you heard this book before?
I haven't heard of that book, no.
Oh, all right. I'm going to put it down in the link, but it's a Sister Anin, and she writes the book, and she's still alive today, but she writes the book, and she goes into it, and she takes, like the book or the title says, an African-centered critique of European thought and behavior. So, I mean, this goes down in depth into this analyzation of what you could simplify into the ice people and the sun people. But nevertheless, it really reads into the culture and how important culture is. And it reads into the necessity of, I mean, almost like anywhere you go in the world, especially me, people could tell where you're from. And it's because a lot of the times your culture speaks through you. It's a vessel that controls your body. They know not only through your looks, but also, like I said, through the way you behave, your vernacular, your et cetera, et cetera. So this book takes a heavy examination of, like I said, the European culture and its origins and where it originates from, all the way back to what they call, quote unquote, intellectuals, where you call the Aristotle, the Platos, and even beyond that, and understands that the position it takes is that their seed, and she calls it a silly, but the seed of their culture, the origin of their culture, is always after and maintaining and looking for the aggressiveness to conquer and to control and to dominate. And this is also coming out of the experience of their evolutionary history of being psychologically conditioned and transforming into and building a culture, not only just a relationship with each other as man and woman, but also, like I said, amongst how they see the world in that harsh conditions of the cave. And people don't really take like a psychological deep thought of how it was for them in that cave, killing each other, having sexual relations with their brothers and sisters because it meant survivability. So when we talk about the Sun people, like African people who lived an entirely different life, I'm not saying perfect or utopia, but what I am saying is this entirely different from someone who's going to live in those conditions in which I just spoke about. One is going to, all he knows is the aggressiveness. Sigmund and Freud, and just like Dr. Bobby E. Wright had said, is that these are two drives, aggressiveness and sexuality. And a culture has to be developed and was developed around the constant avenue or the vehicle for people to express those two natural or given drives of the European culture. And what we see that spill out through the rest of the world and how they interact with people, how, colonialism and intellectualism and warfare is constant, no matter what we do, not even talking, but intellectual, how you conceive and how you view the world. So this is why it was also important not to engage with them, because they have no choice, given their cultural, historical, and natural presence, to actually dominate you in a way where they want to create and shape and transform the world through their eyes. They think they speak of all the people in the world, but only know about no mere than 2,500 years. This is heavily biased in their culture and heavily biased in myths and lies and propaganda. So that book really takes a deep look into the minds and, like I said, the thought and the behavior, so that what would that be good for us? Why would that be good for me? I don't understand. it would allow you to understand basically what somebody's already going to do, what they're already going to say, and where they're going to be at. And I'm not saying every single last one, but it's a high probability that even if they weren't the quote unquote bad conservative, they'll be still a part of the spectrum. They'll say you can live in Europe and you should come and we should let migrants in, but they're not still questioning quote unquote European domination throughout the world. They're just saying, hey, come and you can lay in my bed. And the other guy's saying, let's put up gun turrets at the border. But they're both a part of the same fashion. Just like in America, you see people saying, oh, well, look at the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution, or look what the founding fathers. So they believe the propaganda too. They're part of the same spectrum, domination, and it's European or Eurocentric. So I think that book really helps people to understand and be able to see where someone's coming from, 100,000 miles before they even open up their mouth. And you could call it, quote unquote, what people would call it, that are more Eurocentric would call it prejudice or discriminating, but it's not, that's, making a judgment without understanding, without information. But we have a lot of information, historical information. So I think our ancestors, and even us to this day, we have failed. Of course, we have the abnormal, quote unquote, neos that are abnormal and understand the dynamics in reality. But our culture for a long time have been living in the sun and was not ready for engaging with humans that are like that. Like I said, when I said civil rights 3.0, it's because I said we had it in the 1860s and then we had it in the 1960s. But I would even argue that we had it more than that. When we had it in Kemet, where, we allowed other people of other different nations to actually come into Kemet and live in Kemet. And that was one. And then we also had it when the Nubians took it back over from the integrationalism and where it went to after that. Then we still allowed people to come in and integrate. And then we have it also when the Moors went into, Portugal to help people out. That's another point out. So we've been doing the civil rights, helping people out on this moral and ethical, energy. And that's because that's where we came from. That's where we were. And now we're at a point where I believe that we've been through all the trial and error, the scientific experimentation of our ancestors going through different types of methods of dealing with this oppression and aggression. And if we really take a deep African-centered analyzation of it, we would really be able to understand how to better equip and evolve our strategies and our techniques into the future to say, aha, I figured out the problem, or I figured out what we did incorrectly constantly. So I think once we understand that, once we take that critique, and once you know thyself, you could really start building towards that nation and understand where your people need to go and where it's necessary. Because at this point, grasping on to, the dominant society or American nationalism is not going to help. And when you did make the point of we can't not be like them, we don't want to get Chinchilla in this mug, we want to make sure we're killmongers, meaning that, and I'm not saying just like the movie, because of course that had its problems in it, but nevertheless, we don't become them by doing what they have done to us. It's a virus. It needs to be taken out. It's been infecting the world. And like you said, the brother had said, if you take one of us out, we have to take X, Y, and Z out. And we have to be at the same point in order to understand that. And not only that, because you're dealing with an enemy that doesn't, wait for defense only, but actually is aggressive. We don't only need to be defensive. That is not even enough. We need to be actually aggressive at this point, because defense is just not enough. We need the offense, and we don't become them by standing up for themselves. But I know that's not what the sister was implying, but I just wanted to make that clear for other people who are listening, because they get that, if you do that, you become the villain. And that's not true. And that is a lack. And that's a lack. And that's a manipulation from being dominated for so long. That self-defense and that aggressiveness that you need to survive hasn't adapted in the brain. So you find yourself being ill and not capable of actually even thinking such things. And we need to go beyond that.
I completely, oh my God, I just really want that baby Q Butter.
That's
so cute.
Oh, what's going on, everybody?
Hey, Black Ambassador. That baby is just like, really, he's too cute. I agree completely with everything that you said. I really do, Black Ambassador. You're speaking what we need to hear. And the thing of it is it's not about the way that we think is so fundamentally
flawed and problematic because we don't see it as us defending ourselves against an attack. We've been conditioned to believe that we need to turn the other cheek and allow other people to abuse us, and that's gotten us nowhere. And until we shed that mentality, we're not going to be able to appropriately deal with everything that's coming our way.
That's a fact. And you know, it's funny. I had a white boy I grew up with named John, and he was like, they used to call him like the nigga because he was like mad brown. He was Italian, and my neighborhood where I grew up was like half, like it was mad blended, but half was white, half was like the minority side, I guess we call it, like the colored people side, like the Spanish, the blacks, the Indians was all on one side, and the whites was on the other side. So later, long story short, he and I was on the train one day, and he's like, "Yo, Q, you know what you blacks don't understand? Us white people." He said, "Y'all really think we are like us? Y'all come from the trees and the good ground, gold, honey." Said, "We don't come from that, bro. And we hate y'all for that." Yo, this was the realest thing any white person ever told me. He was like, "Yo, we hate y'all. We've hated y'all since we met y'all." And it wasn't like we knew why we hated y'all. We just realized that y'all got honey, gold, and flowers, and we had to walk around in circles with a dog killing whatever thing we can see in the snow. You know, and that natural hate, it's just what it is. You know what I mean? Like that fueled their anger for thousands of years, and them sitting in caves playing with each other's butts, their wives walking around with dirt on their faces. You know, but by the time they found out what soap was and that they can wash the dirt off of their skin, they were like, "Oh, are you serious?" You know what I mean? Like, to be hygienic, you know, like their anger comes from a place of real ignorance. And, you know, I was thinking about this the other day because the curriculum I'm doing, I didn't know so much about the abolitionist movement. And white America has done such a job at removing the abolitionist movement from the historical books because America was against the abolitionist movement. And it's like I'm creating a class just for this specific subject because, like, you know, there was mad white people who fought for black people. Like, I really don't want to do the class, but I would be completely disingenuous to not represent the facts that there were a lot of white people who fought for black people, but their fighting for black people was not at the level in which white people were fighting for white people and to maintain and put themselves in a position of power. And why this is so important to us is because they showed a lot of black people how to fight against white people. It's very weird. And a lot of the contexts to which we fight against white people, yo, the first school in America for black people was opened by a white woman. And she wanted to teach Negroes how to be fit in society because she felt white people weren't doing it. You know, I don't understand that. I can't even understand that position. You know, like it's very deep, you know, and when we look at majority of the first black people in America went to this white woman's school. The first black surgeon, first black lawyer, first black doctor, first black politicians all went to this white woman's school or a school that was spawned by this white woman. You know, and it's like, and I'm not bringing this up to highlight them. I'm bringing it up to highlight the reality that the system of white supremacy is so powerful that it suppressed and removed every individual in the abolitionist movement so that way it can maintain its position of superiority against black people. And so that means, as a form of proof, that we can't use white means to fight white people because we did that already. And so that brings me back to what my father taught me about Vietnam. He said, Q, and he would call them the gooks. He would say, Q, the gooks did things that we wouldn't do. And it made a white America make the soldiers do things that they didn't think we would do. And what made America lose was that the Vietnamese knew that America was weak because of politics. So it said, make America become just as sick as we are. So when that, I forgot, the general went on national TV and started shooting people in the head on TV. He said, anybody who's for America and anybody's against Vietnam, I'm going to shoot you on national TV. No one has ever, this was one of the first times someone was ever executed on national television was in the Vietnam War. It brought the entire world to a stop because the white man went in and did the exact same thing, except that his cameras was on him. And that stopped the war. You know, everybody wants to say what they want, but once them cameras started showing, like, hold up, y'all are flame throwing villages with little kids.
They called it a pacification project. They were dropping napalm, burning people to death. Yep.
You want to see some? Look, this burn right here. If I could see it, this is from Agent Orange. If y'all can see it, it burnt through my genetics. It genetically burned my father, and so this is it. You can wear it puffs up. It is the exact same mark that he has from when they dropped the Agent Orange and it came down his suit and went down his neck and burnt down to his chest. I have the exact same mark. And my sister got it on the back. And we're second generation Agent Orange children. The first generation of Agent Orange children, many of them died from cancer. And I mean, ferocious death. Like they're born, fingers coming out their heads, livers outside of their body, just atrocious, just sick things in that. Yeah.
Hey, Q, can I hop in there real quick? I just wanted to say something real quick.
I'm just jabbing my gums, please.
Now, I was thinking, now I'm not saying this is, I forgot what book. I'll reference the book and the link once I figure it out. But on the note and an account of a popular, so if I'm a general and I'm looking at a population that has, let's say, assimilation and integrationalist as one of its biggest deters of its self-determination, especially when I talk about our population. And we're dealing with an approach. We're saying, all right, we're in a room and we're sitting in like generals and we're like, all right, we can publish this information to the people, provide it to our nation. But what this information might do is insulate them in that real belief and that hope that we have already that other people are going to help us out and save us in this battle. Now, I would take the position to say, let's put out information that say we can use them and manipulate them once we get African centered. But as far as them being out here really advocating for us, I have questions. Why I say this is because when we look at the history, a lot of people don't know that a lot of people were abolitionists, yes, but it was for different reasons. And those reasons, what's that?
No, I'm agreeing with you. Yep.
Yeah. And those reasons were they didn't like another wealthy merchant class of people rising and battling with them inside the system that they created, quote unquote, capitalism and quote unquote, the higher classes of the system. So they would go and say, yes, let's free slaves. Let's do this. Let's do that. Only because they did not enjoy those people who transported bodies battling with the old wealth that came down from tradition and inheritance and conquering not only just agriculture, but also merchants and conquest. So they didn't appreciate those people becoming extremely wealthy, which could be a different class of people that would battle you for political, power, et cetera, social power, and et cetera, et cetera. So it was not so much that they wanted to assist Black people, because you have to be specific on that, because if children say, oh my gosh, there were some people out here, and that's how America tells the story. Oh, there were abolitionists out here trying to, end slavery, and we were for you. No, they were for their own self-interest, because it only makes sense. And not only that, because it's also proven. So we have to make sure when we do provide the information, if we decide to provide the information, we provide it in the context where it also shows kids that watch these people might act like they're for you, but they're really for their own wealth and their own success. But we have to be very cautious, because we are dealing with a population who already feels like, oh man, we can get it done with the white man. oh, we can get, if we just reach across the aisle. Now, I'm not saying that's what you were saying, not at all. I know that's not what you're saying. But yes, it is the truth. But sometimes we have to be generals and say, because it's the truth, don't mean it needs to come to light. We have this thing where it's like, oh, well, if it's the truth, we got to do it because it is the truth. If it's going to kill you and exterminate you or have your people still being assimilators or integrationalists, then we can't do that. Even though it is the truth, sometimes we have to hold back from it. Maybe to a later date. I know it strikes a nerve, but I'm only saying that because it might do that.
Exactly what you're saying though, like that because we wasn't shown this history, you know, if we think about why so many black people feel vested into the system, we have to look back to the first people who were pushing this. They went to abolitionist schools. I didn't know that the network of abolitionist schools were the ones who were creating this top 10 class of Negro. Inadvertently, they were doing it just by accident. You see what I mean? And it wasn't like it was the independent class. You see what I mean? This was black people who were being plucked out. And, you know, I forgot this other white woman, a lot of white women. And this was also another reason to bring it up. When white men gave black men the right to vote, white women turned to black women and said, see, it's a man thing. You know, and we
no doubt,
and then so the society for the removal of slavery, or the society against the American slavery, that turned into they had to create the women's society against slavery, and then that was the birth of one of the birth organizations for the first women's organization of America. Was founded damn near around, if I gotta make my quote right, around abolishing slavery, but it wasn't about that. It was, like you said, the white woman was attaching with a population of people who they felt was being redlined or treated harshly as they were. And so, you know, we're all in the corner getting beat up, let's all vent together. But the second you get out, you're going over there. And I'm with you on it, and I think we need to teach that because they can see, you know, when the people say, yo, America gave you Liberia. No, America stole Liberia with the American Colonization Society, went there, established a colony, and then said we're going to bring Negroes here. And the test was we were going to bring American Negroes here and let them reintroduce American colonizations to black people. And so the first programs that black people brought there was colonization programs. That blew my mind yesterday that the president of Liberia, a black man, first job was introducing and indoctrinating, and this is his own writing. You can look his writing up, and he talks about how his challenge was to get the natives, which is his words, to get the native aboriginals and the natives to adhere to his law. Hold on, we got that door. Crazy. That was such a deep cracker statement. I said that was all right.
Yeah, I hear that. But I wasn't saying we shouldn't say the truth. I just said, let's think about it. Let's just take a very deep look into it and decide what we are going to do. That's it. Because we've been telling the truth for a good amount of time and it hasn't worked for us. And then I just wanted to say one more thing before I go on mute. I just wanted to say that systems also, I was talking to another panel and I was talking about Dr. Bobby E. Wright. I was listening to him. We also have to look at maybe shying away from the word systems because we say systems a lot. And then maybe I know everybody could probably think real deep and understand what they mean by systems, but I feel as though there is no system, you know? It is people, and if all people were dead right now, there would be no system of everything that we say, like whether it be capitalism, economics. So we have this, we don't have the energy and the spirit to really say what it is. It's white people, it's Europeans, or it's Arabs. Because when they have an enemy, they don't say the system of Islam terrorists. They say it's the Iraqis over there, or it's these people over here. And I only say that because when you, or even just like when quote unquote Ashkenazi Jews say, you know, those people are Nazi and anti-Semitic, they don't talk about a system. And when you say systems, that really doesn't help the average person who might not be, let's just say, too deep in the knowledge and in the information to say, who the hell? Nobody sees a system. So at the end of the day, they're not combating seeing those systems. All they're seeing is people. And so when they see people, they interact with those people. I know you're saying that people interact with a system, but don't forget there would be no system without the interaction of those humans, those people, those groups, and how they social relate with each other. So we have to say it is people and not systems, because, you know, whether it be the government or whether it be this establishment or is this institution, it's people who walk in that institution. It's people who make those decisions and press those buttons, and other people who support those systems and press those buttons, and also, you know, vote for them and pay taxes to them. So it's all people and it's not systems. And that's not coming from me. That's coming from Dr. Bobby E. Wright. He said we need to stop saying systems so much because it is people, because you do not hear your enemy saying the system of Islam. It's no such thing. It's people. And I just want to bring that into the conversation. Not saying it's ultimate, but maybe we need to think about that. I'll go on mute real quick.
We do need to think about that, Black Ambassador, because that's what I've been trying to tell people. You know, you can say it's a system, but a system does have to be operated and it has to be maintained by people. And so ultimately the system is the people. And I think that's a way for them to rationalize in their mind that white people are not the problem, that there's just this system running around. Because I've noticed that when we get into the topic of racism, they always talk about it kind of like it's like the Loch Ness monster, like a separate entity that no one is actually participating in. And it's like, no, you have people who are being racist. Racism is not self-sustaining. It's not self-perpetuating. And I think they look at white supremacy and the system as the same, as if it can just operate on its own, and it can't. These are white people, but they say that because they don't want to detach from white people. I think Black people have convinced themselves that it's not in their best interest to be liberated from them. So that's why we look for white saviors and white politicians and things to do stuff to make us be more comfortable in society, because ultimately we want to be around them. We think that it's in our best interest to be around them. We just want one of them to appear and say, I'm going to make the situation better for you.
No, I definitely agree with y'all. You know what I mean? I just think the word, I'm agreeing with y'all. I know when I use the word system, it's in a business sense. So, you know, it's right. Yes, it's individuals. But me as an individual, I'm going to create a system to maintain what I built for myself as an individual. You know, but I understand what y'all saying, people, because I hear people that, no, Q, it's not white people, it's the system. Bro, the system was made by white people to maintain white people's position. But they don't understand that.
And then also it's operated. You know, you don't go out there and convince a system. Like, there's no system you go to talk to and say, hey, system, can you do this? Can you carry this out in your daily actions? Can you carry this out in your being, your existence, your beliefs? No, it's not. What it is okay, it's people, but it's in conjunction with institutions also. So if we demolish, but even if we demolish the whole institution, meaning everything like in the nation, just in like a hypothetical sense, then even then those people would build the same system, because that's the only thing in their brain. They only know how to recreate what they already know from the past, like in linear fashion. So they would just create whatever they knew from the past, which would be more chaos and more colonialism, more imperialism. They would just do it in a different form. But it is the people. We have to look at that. And then people collaborating with institutions, but mainly still those institutions, if all those people died, they just be sitting there as brick and mortar until the world turned old. And that's that. And then the honeybees are back.
I'm telling this white man, yo, you know what's my new thing? Tell white people you're racist. I proudly say I'm a racist, y'all. I systematically find ways to empower Black people ahead of anyone else. So if you put a resume on my table, the wind blew off your resume. I don't know what happened, but I just happen to have nothing but Black resumes on the table. This is who I am. So I don't know about y'all, but I'm gladly. So I'm writing this white. Let me show y'all this white guy, yo. And white people like, yo, Q Butter, the most racist, the internet's most racist award goes to Q Butter. And I'm like, I've earned it. Anytime a white person tells you that you're being racist, enjoy that and let them know that you nor your children nor your dead grandmother affect me. And I gladly soak in the white failure. Every white person I see become more infertile as their skin gets pinker with the sunlight that, you know, they're funking up the ozone layer with. as I see them die all quicker, I embrace the fact that nature was designed. We're designed for nature. I love it. I love it. Then when they see nothing but black kids in the program, they were like, what? Then they be like, so you're not gonna let my baby in? No, you're not black enough, bro. I'm sorry. It's only for us. You got to pass the code. Go talk to Irene. Irene's the only person that has mixed children in our program. If you can pass the Irene test, then you can come through. Simple as that. I
was called a racist today, and I just was like, if I was racist, you wouldn't have the power to leave that comment. Like, if I had actual control to that degree, this is a conversation that would not be existing because I would be way more effectual in my racism. But with that said, I wanted to double back on what the brother was saying about, I agree with you that some realities and some truths can be damaging. But what I think really has to be done is we have to prepare people for the arguments that will be made so that they are never shocked when somebody brings up a point. Like the person that called me racist today was like, Black people never talk about, slavery that's going on in Africa and Irish slavery, which is just these are stupid ass talking points, which is why I really wasn't about to address it. Cause I was like, the fact that you even made that comment lets me know you're ignorant, but okay. But, I think we have to speak to these things and we have to teach them because, my stepfather was a Black Muslim and he was like, history is his story, right? So we have to teach history from an Afrocentric perspective. And the way that these conversations come off looks very different when they're taught from an Afrocentric perspective. So we do teach the things, but we teach them from the lens of our people. And we teach them also because in a time of warfare, we need to see how people fight war. We also need to acclimate our children to the different kinds of white people there are. Because when you have people that say that the people who did the most for me were white, the people who went to bat for me the hardest were white, the people who did this or that, like when I look back, a lot of Black people can say that. We then have to have a dialogue, right? And a rhetoric to combat that experience, to say, okay, well, this is what benevolent racism is. And sometimes those are the most dangerous racists, because that's essentially what we're talking about, right? Abolitionists and things like that. These are benevolent racists. And we often as a people confuse benevolent racism with white people trying to do stuff for us. And even at their best, I've maybe met 2 white people my whole life, which at their best are fully cognizant and capable of dealing with a conversation that honestly talks about them and their people, right? So most benevolent racists, when faced with the reality of whiteness, will turn into the average white person real quick when the conversation becomes too honest. Like the easiest way to vet a white person is to have a very real conversation with them about whiteness and about how their people move historically and currently throughout the world. Because, the other trick of white people.
You got to talk and be very smiley face. You got to do it very smile, no anger. It throws them all the way off. My bad.
No, but really, right? Because when they are faced, and also they always like to place things in the past, like everything was in the past. No, you guys are moving crazy right now, right? And so that is the litmus test, right? That is how we test a white person's mentalities straight off. I did a video on, why can't I think of her name right now? With the women's movement, Tamika Mallory, and she had a little white girl who was her puppet with her on an interview. And I analyzed that interview and I was like, if you had to pull a white person, this is where they need to be, where they know when to speak and when to shut up. And they know what to say and they're obedient, right? Like these are the only kinds of white people we can deal with, but we don't want to be like Venezuela, which Venezuela is in a pickle right now because they were rolling with Cuba that was rolling with Mandela in South Africa. And what the mistake that they made was that they didn't kick all the white people out, right? And the white people are the people who are fanning the miniature flames of so-called revolution in Venezuela right now are being used as tools. And it's a white person that they want to put into power. Right now, Maduro is, we could call him mixed, right? But it's a white Venezuelan that they want to put into power, and it's white Venezuelans that are causing the majority of the problem that's going on in Venezuela. So I think it's essential that we teach this history. Like I said, I want to write a whole book on the history of the mulatto, right? Because it's important that we understand these things and that we teach these things so our people are never surprised when confronted with the knowledge, and that they know the tactics that are used and that they're able to combat that information from an Afrocentric perspective. So it's not so much in the information that's the problem, it's in the presentation, right? It's our presentation that needs to be tight, and that needs to be reinforced over and over. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Comprehension. How we comprehend. I'm agreeing with you. How we got to comprehend what the hell we talking about.
No, for real. That's true. That's very true. And we also have to not be afraid to be uncomfortable. Like, I don't know. I believe in a more hands-on approach than I think most Black people are comfortable with. I think that we have been taught that we are criminal and violent and all these things, and we spend a lot of time trying to get away from what people think that we are like, when we aren't like that. But we might need to get a little more hands-on. We might need to be more aggressive. We might need to live up to some of these stereotypes, y'all, because if we were any of the things that we're portrayed, this is not the situation we would be in, you know. And that book I present, what'd you say?
We're not that, you know what I mean? Like, that's, I don't know how other people are raised, but like my pops was Marine. He told me, like, Q, you're not a killer. We're Black people. We're not that. We know how to kill. We know how to offend, but we wasn't born in that. We wasn't raised in that. And that's what that white boy told me, like, yo, Q, we come from killing to eat. That's our culture. Wearing the animal we just killed.
Well, a lot of people report crime statistics and things like that. And I'll say, well, all I see is that Black men will beef with other men. And there used to be a time when dueling was legal in this society. But now they've criminalized it. And because Black men are quick to punch a dude in the face, like, we could settle this with a conversation or physically, or be hands-on with another man, we criminalize that and then say Black people are violent. But then we want to ignore that all the other violent crimes, violent arson, crimes against women, crimes against children, crimes against weaker people are crimes that are done from a perspective of a coward, like violent arson, right? That's like, I don't have the beef, you know, I don't have the strength to come to you to your face, but I'll burn your house down while you're in it, kind of stuff, you know? Are white people that do those crimes. The only violent crimes that Black people engage in are violent crimes mostly between men who are in disputes of men, right? But when white people go and annihilate a whole group of people, that's not violent. That's not a problem.
Yeah,
but two Black men beefing on the block is a problem.
The way they play their definitions, that's what originally inspired me to come up with the word Ziax. So they can't define us. You know what I mean? When you come with, you know, we own the definition, but they play with wording and definitions like I don't like the word abortion. Like, I just say murder. You know what I mean? And I'm pro-abortion, but I'm just saying I'm pro-murder. You know, just so I can contextualize in my head what I'm telling a woman. No, if you want to go kill a baby, that's your choice. But don't try to play with the words so you can psychologically deal with what you're doing. No, you're killing a baby.
Honesty. I love that. That's why the burning, when you brought up Vietnam, I was like, the burning the villagers to death with napalm, pacification project. Like, white people like to cover up what they're doing, but the test of being cognizant and aware and making peace with your choices is not having to cover up your actions, right? That's an act of shame, right? Like, if you're going to do this, we're going to do this. And if we're not going to do this, we're not going to do it. But we're not going to play pretend and come up with special phrases and terms to make us feel comfortable in what we are. Like, just be what you are. But also, just thinking back to what you were saying on Vietnam, I have Black people come to me all the time. Well, they have the guns, they have the tanks, they have the da-da-da-da-da. Like, you know, we can never, like, combat that. Vietnamese people had nothing, but what they did have is they were savages and they were smart. They knew how to maneuver in their own land, and they were willing to do things that sent a message, which is we may not have all the armaments that you do, but when we catch one of you, we're going to send a clear picture of what this is about. And it's going to get very ugly in this situation really fast, to the point where, as Q was saying, we tried to meet fire with fire, but it wasn't happening. And I think that's still the advantage we have now, is that white people like to be evil and pretend that they're good. And that desire to keep up that facade is advantageous to us. But the reality that we don't need to meet them knife for knife, weapon for weapon, in both a figurative and a literal sense, is what our people need to come to the understanding of. They're not used to being challenged in any real way.
Well,
so they don't know what to do with it. Go ahead, Cynthia. I'm sorry.
Well, they're not, Irene. And that goes back to that document that we were reading, you know, from the 1800s, where they basically said that they've been able to do all these things because they haven't been challenged on them. Not in a manner that will make them fearful of doing things or targeting Black people or oppressing them. We have, by and large, allowed them to have free reign to do whatever they want to. And because we've also let them define our sense of morality and what's right or wrong, we've stunted. We haven't done anything. We haven't responded because they told us that, you know, you need to turn the other cheek. You need to not be violent. You need to, you know, not return hate for hate, when in reality, if you look throughout history, that's literally the only thing that's actually effective. So they're telling you to not do what's effective in deterring their behavior. You cannot deal with that type of person by loving them. And it's like, Black people think that you can love the hate out of someone, and you can't. It hasn't worked before. It's not going to work. When you're dealing with savages who are violent and they only respond to violence, that's what you have to do in order to get their attention.
Yeah, I definitely, I agree. I definitely agree. I just think that they're not. We're in the. I agree with y'all. You know, I mean, to speak on violence, I just know we're not in a position to do certain things, and I don't want to bring it up to say like we're not in that space. Like, I'm with the shits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just the shits now, right now, is us celebrating the fact that you're in Venice, you're in South America, Cynthia's down south, and Irene is in California, and I'm in Brooklyn, and we're all working together to help with this institute. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not against fighting physically, but I also know that like the fight is really about, you know, organizing your playing field and moving logistically, so that way when you do have a physical altercation, you have things established that you can go forward with and build with. But right now, like, I did that 16 city tour. Like, not to say a lot of y'all are new into the Black conscious community, and not to say I'm not, but after I did that Black City tour, we're not in the position to do anything. And I'm not saying that to downplay anybody. It's just like, I'm not getting up with nobody.
Well, I think that you bring up a good point there.
Oh, damn.
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to add something. Yeah, no. Just let me slide in slow, sister. I just want to add something in there, too. Yeah, I mean, when we talk about that, and especially I think somebody said, Cynthia G said, love with the violence, we got to get rid of that. Because, like, you know, that's something that's perpetuated by them to say, oh, you know, your love will conquer all. It will not. Because if I shoot you in the head, you're dead. And no matter how much you love me or how much I said, see, the reciprocity, we forget that somebody can completely hear you out. This is why I said I don't engage with conversations across the aisle with other groups, because they can hear you out. I had a conversation with an Ashkenazi Jew back when I still engaged in such thing. And he was like, yeah, you know what? Blah, blah, blah. Broke it down constantly, everything he was saying. And then at the end of the day, he tried to peddle, well, you know, if I was in charge, we're all humans and none of this is right. I said, you're still Israeli, right? He said, yeah. I said, you're still Jewish, right? Yeah. I was like, then that's a load of bullshit. You just said we all humans and the next. So it's not so much, even if they say what they have to say, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like, we don't need to engage in that. It doesn't matter. It's not relevant, because it's always been like that from within their society. So when you talk about the love shall conquer all, this is just not true. Because like I said, people don't have to really acknowledge that quote unquote love. They don't have to love you the way you love them. They can say, yeah, I love you, but I love you in this fashion. I think I should have many girls instead of one. Or I love you in this fashion and X, Y, and Z. So the love shall conquer all is not going to happen. And then I think when we think about battles and warfare, like brother said, we're not ready physically to pick up armaments. There's so many more battles. Every time I get around, especially not so much because I'm more African centered now, but usually I would get around other groups of people. I know that every day you get around somebody else, you're at war intellectually, right? How they push concepts on you, just the most minuscule things in life, right? They'll try to say like, oh yeah, man, yeah, World War II or something, just engaging in regular conversations. You have to understand that you're engaged with another human being's mind if you're in his vicinity, and you have to put your defenses up. So when brothers say, you know, you love who you love, or it don't matter, you can love whoever, nah, because you might not be quote unquote at that time dominated in the physical sense, but you are, because you're dominated in the psychological sense, where you have to probably abide that person's ideology. You're not telling that person outright, I think you're racist, or I think you're a quote unquote anti-Kemetic, and et cetera, every day. So when our people say, oh, well, we're not ready to take those battles, you need to take the battle to the mind. And you can only take the battle of the mind if you know yourself, and then you know your enemy. And then at the same time, when you're around that enemy, you already have to let the people know when you get around them, it's going to be warfare. They're going to push their ideas on you. They're going to attempt constantly and say, oh, this is facts. This is science. Like science is the ultimate truth. You know, like it's not biased, like it doesn't have political and social and economic connections to it that pushes it in a certain direction. Scientists in European society were the first to say that we were apes and we were backwards. So I'm never going to listen to a science from your dynamics or your realm. There might be many ways to build a bridge, but we can also build a bridge using nanotechnology besides the steel that you said we needed to do like this and this way. So not only that, we have to understand that there's many ways to do many things, and there's many fronts on many fronts, not even only in the physical sense. So when we say we're not ready for the physical sense, let's start the battle from what we do, how we carry ourselves, right? How we protect our mind, not be open-minded for people just to dump European or Eurocentric propaganda in it, and we out here agreeing because it makes us feel good. At the same time, it kills us. So I think if we take that approach and say there's other warfares for you to fight, for those people who are scared of the actual physical confrontation at this point, they would understand, oh, okay, so it's more than just the battle in the physical sense. It's the economic, it's the political, it's the intellectual. And you have to be constantly sharpening your sword, loading the ammo, putting on your Kevlar vest every time you go outside that door. Because if you don't, you lose. So you can't watch the garbage as much as you would like. You can't indulge in the buffoonery and the coonery as much as you would like, because it's your destruction. And they're constantly propagating that because they have already put out the information and engaged in the warfare. End point. Point ended.
And to piggyback off of what you're saying is, you know, specifically with the science and our belief system, we do let them dictate a lot of how we think, because you'll have Black people running around saying we're all the same. It doesn't matter. Race doesn't exist. But you can look at us and see the differences. Our psychology is different. The way we perceive the world is different. Every single thing about us is different from them, but we keep trying to convince ourselves that we are the same as them. Therefore, we think that somehow they're going to include us in their society, when they already know we're the polar opposite of them. They said that many times. We are the complete opposite. We can't coexist with each other. Now, as it comes to a physical battle, there are so many different things we could be doing that would impact them that has nothing to do with physically fighting. We could withdraw our attention. We could withdraw our support. We could stop making them comfortable. We could stop defending and advocating for them. We could stop showing such a strong desire to have their acceptance and to love them when we know that they don't love us. Those are some things that would change stuff drastically, that would give them incentive to stop doing stuff to you if you just withdraw and show that you care nothing about them, that you're completely disinterested in anything that they have to offer. But rather than doing that, we show that we feel like we need them, that we can't live without them. Meanwhile, they're the ones who can't live without us. So changing our mindset before we did anything physical, I think would make more of an impact than actually doing anything physical.
Well, I completely agree with all three of you. I think that the change of the mindset is essential. I think it'll come to fisticuffs just on the strength that they're not to be ignored and not worshiped and not followed and not submitted to, right? So when it comes to fisticuffs, I don't think it's going to have anything to do with a choice that we're going to make as much as a choice that they're going to make. But I do think we aren't currently in a position for that, because a lot of people aren't even comfortable with the conversation that speaks negatively of white people. So when we can't even have a conversation where somebody can say something that's not positive about white people without a Black person feeling uncomfortable and as if they need to defend that, then we are a long way off. Or when we will tolerate rhetoric on any meaningful scale, you know, where we don't even understand what whiteness is. Like, you know, I heard, you know, somebody talking about how whiteness had nothing to do with skin color. It had to do with access to resources. And I just was thinking to myself, I mean, I understand what you're trying to say, but like in reality, if everybody with brown skin, if every Black person all over the earth is oppressed, how can we really say that this has nothing to do with skin color? Like at what, you know, so we have to also, I agree, fight on the mental front first, because you'll never palate the physical if you can't palate the mental. Like some of these conversations are hard for people to accept and grasp. So to expect more of them, I don't think that we're there yet. But I think the key is an honest dialogue and a no holds bar conversation where we aren't trying to be politically correct, where we aren't pussyfooting around the issues, where we are very literally discussing these topics as they stand. Because a lot of the problem is that we're able to live comfortably in a delusion because the reality makes us uncomfortable. And we have to get to a place where discomfort is something that we are accepting of, because everything in reality is not comfortable. And I think a lot of our people want to feel liked. They want to feel that white people accept them. They want to feel that this can be circumvented some other way. They want to feel that Black people who are speaking in a certain tone are having an archaic mindset. They don't want to deal in reality. And we have to break past all of those barriers, not necessarily with the majority, because a lot of people aren't even in a place where they could care about these issues one way or the other. They're going to flow with the tide of strength. But for those people who are willing to engage these issues, we need them in a mental space, because we need a visible minority to make the majority move.
And also, I would just add real quick that it actually, at the beginning, it feels bad, but later on, it feels great. What I'm saying is, I've been many times around other people, whether I was in Australia working with brothers, or whether I was down here in South America working with brothers. And it was always a sense that when I engaged, the only reason I engaged in the conversation with other people across the aisle is to show the brothers what happens when you're truly African-centered, or, you know, pro-Black, or, you know, Black centered, and you have African centered perspectives and worldviews. And it was like no other. Every time there was some quote unquote European intellectual who was very intelligent and was the smartest guy in the compound or smartest guy at the station, whatever it may have been. And when I engaged in conversation with him, demolishing every ideology he had, showing it just bare truth, the brothers beside me came from so being sitting on the sidelines to allowing them to say whatever they said in their presence, to saying, wow, damn. You know, they've been, or if I had conversations and they weren't there, they would have been like, man, I would have paid to see that. I wanted to see that, man. I wish I was there. So I think if we lead an example, I think that's why it's so important for Europeans to control our media and our perspectives and our projections of our quote unquote consciousness and revolution. Because when they control those images, they control the revolution in itself. So when we start articulating and showing and projecting information and movies and cinema in our own African-centered sense, then they will see it entirely different. Not Europeans, but other Blacks who are sitting on the sidelines. You know, they're not used to that anymore. Back in the day, especially when you say in the 1960s, Black people were out there saying what they needed to say, engage. You know, the confrontation was there. Whether you had the Honorable Khalid Muhammad engaging in those conversations. So people would say, yeah, okay. And that gives them more confidence because they could see somebody acting like that, you know, and somebody moving in this world like that, but they don't see it. So they don't speak it, and they think they have to play a game. And when they see other people not playing those games, then you will get that following that you need and then the support, and maybe people will get the courage in their individual lives to say, I'm going to advocate, I'm going to stand up on my hand, I'm going to do for myself, I'm going to be self-determined, I'm not going to let him or allow him to say that, you know? And it really leads the example. So that's why I said it's more important for us to have films that represent such things, you know? We should have films not only about the Haitian Revolution, of us, you know, slaughtering white people who oppressed us, or whoever oppressed us in history, so people can see that. So they can say, oh my gosh, we can actually fight back in that sense. Oh my gosh, that film could be like this in this sense. I never seen it like that. Think about this. Africa and America, especially African Americans, for so long in America, did not want to attach to Africa in any shape, form, or fashion. But when Black Panther came out, everybody and their mama put on a dashiki, and all the African booty scratches that I heard in the past, and all the negative connotation and the anti-African, you know, sentiment and ideology, it just fell to the wayside. And everybody was so pro-African in that small sense. And I'm saying it's something that our people need and they desire, but it's just not there for him. Right? Of course, that's why the talking points on TV would be like Lil Wayne and celebrities, but not real African-centered intellectuals, because that's dangerous. I'd rather destroy that information, you know, hide that information, and nobody gets it, period. And they can deal with all these other variations of quote unquote revolution. So I think when we have that and people could see that, then they would really get to that point where they're saying, I'm gonna do it too, bump it. And I think I would give shout out to Cynthia G, because she's really out there saying a lot of things on both sides. We don't only need kid gloves for people to say what we're doing is wrong. We need people that's going to come in with the harsh truth and the harsh reality. And I listened to many of her podcasts. And of course, at the beginning and way back, it made me feel some type of way, but you have to push through that. I think that's the uncomfortability, right? To accept that, you know, those Eurocentric perspectives and views you have. But later on, it was the harsh reality that was like, damn, I never seen it like that. That woke me up. Some people, they need kid gloves, or they need, you know, small doses, but some don't. And those could be the revolutionaries. Those would be the ones really out here fighting. So big respect to her and anybody else who's out here doing it. Everybody on this panel for coming out and saying something, putting it out in the sky. People need to see it. They're going to click, they're going to listen, and they're going to log on, because they're tired of hearing the rest of the stuff. The majority really wanted equalization, not integration. The majority wanted self-determination, not integration and assimilation. That's always been the truth, but they always manipulate the history to make you believe most of us was around here running to integrate. When our ancestors got beat by them and raped by them, they had more sense than that. But of course, in old European fashion, control the revolution and put up the people on a pedestal that are not going to be really detrimental to how our society is built and our domination really exists.
You know what I think is one of the first steps to accomplishing something, especially having a dialogue, an honest and raw dialogue about who and what we are dealing with, is for Black people to stop saying not all white people are bad. Because even if that may be true, but there's no evidence of that at all. Like, how would you even prove that not all of them are bad? And what's happening is, because Black people have the mindset of not all of them are bad, they feel like they need to constantly defend the ones who they deem to not be bad, as if they're the majority, when if they do exist, they're the vast minority. So we need to get out of that mindset and just assume that every last one of them are operating from the same mindset. They're just expressing it differently. Meaning, some of them know that they can get more from you by being nice. Some of them simply don't care. They're going to be obnoxious about their mentalities and their sentiments towards you. But you just have a lot of Black people who have dedicated themselves to defending people who may not even exist. You live in a society where you already know this could not work unless at least the majority of them did it. And so because you don't even know the amount of them who aren't racist, you're not at liberty. You literally cannot afford to have the mindset that all of them are bad, because you don't know whether the odds of you crossing one of them who is not racist is slim to none based on what we see in reality. And that's a mentality that really needs to change.
You're channeling Muhammad Ali, because he did an interview. I feel like I put this on a video on my news channel. He did an interview where He was like, imagine, like, I forget the snake he picked, but there are all these poisonous snakes, right? Chasing him. And he's like, and I think that some of those snakes may be good snakes. He's like, am I just going to stop and just hope that the good snakes stand in front of the horde of bad snakes and protect me? Like, is that how I'm going to operate? Right. And I can't operate from that place. But I do think I agree with Cynthia. We have to face reality, which is if you don't believe all white people are bad, common sense and pragmatism would tell you that most of them are bad, or the system wouldn't be as it is, right? Because if most of them were good, the system would not look the way it does now. Our positioning would not be the way it is now. They wouldn't be running throughout the earth in the past and in current history, literally behaving the way they are now if the majority of them were good. So I think the pragmatism and common sense go a long, long way in this conversation. But again, you have to get to a place where you're comfortable with being in reality. And to what the brother was saying about Cynthia, I agree. You know, we're so used to political correctness, and political correctness essentially means I'm going to be fake and I'm going to say not what I really feel, but what will make everybody else feel comfortable. And we're so comfortable with living in lies and niceties, right? And that's a white person's sort of attitude. You know, white people have a way of being condescending and evil and demeaning to other people with a smile on their face. And so we have adopted a term, politically correct, which is a way to completely not be honest, but really, really hate on a person and really, really work toward their destruction at the same time. And our mindset has become so twisted that when somebody does not conform to that fakery, we assume that there's something wrong with them and that they're not nice and they're doing something against us, when the reality is we just really need to start to learn to get comfortable with real dialogue. And to what the brother was saying, that's why one of my favorite things, I love to pull archival footage because it's good for people to see these sorts of, you know, uninhibited conversations with white people specifically, where Black people and white people are in a dialogue where everybody has just decided they are not here to be politically correct. Those conversations, I live by them. I put them for free on my Patreon. I do clips of them on my videos because I'm like, we need to see this. But in current day and age, I would say President Maduro is a great example of somebody that doesn't speak with politically correctness about whiteness and how they position themselves. I would say anybody from Black First, Land First. There's just a list of people that we have today who use that rhetoric, who, when they are faced with an interview or a situation where they're talking to a white person who is pulling out all the white tactics, that to see them maneuver and literally white-splain, like literally interpret what is being said and call the white person out on it, call the behavior out for what it is in plain language, that is mentally liberating. Because then it's like, oh, so when I have these conversations, no matter how, you know, I'll never forget the businessman in South Africa talking about, I have a private army. They forget I have a private army, da, 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 right? And when his life was threatened, all the white media was like, oh my gosh, they threatened his life, da, 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 right? But when questioned about threatening his life, the response was, what do armies do? If he wasn't threatening anybody, the purpose of an army is not to make friends. So what was the point of him talking about having a private army and how we've forgotten that if it wasn't to threaten violence? So then why be surprised when it's made clear he will lose his life for threatening violence? And see, these are the kind of games that white people play, right? Because he was all tilted on his arm and talking very casually about his private army. And then when attacked, we have to know how to deal with those things. But see, a lot of times we have conversation with white people and we get confused, right? Because we don't speak white people language. So we have a conversation with white people and we're like, oh, well, what's wrong here? There's nothing to see here. They seem so nice. And we have to learn to look past that. We've been indoctrinated to step off the street corner every time a white person walks by and not think twice about it. We've been indoctrinated to interpret their verbiage in a way that it's not intended, right? How many years did it take us to recognize that when they talk about Black people on the news, they use certain words, and when they talk about white people on the news, they use other words? How many years did it take us to recognize that when they talk about anybody who's not a white American, it's African American or it's whatever, but when they talk about themselves, it's just American? Or when they use the word man, they only use it to refer to themselves. They don't use it to refer to us. So how long did it take us to catch on to those things? And those are minor. The full scope of their language and how they move is something that we have a hard time understanding. And we need to start to grasp that and interpret what is being said and presented through the lens of whiteness, so that it's like learning a foreign language, so that we can stop being delusional about what we're hearing. And we won't hear what we want to hear, but we'll hear what is really being said. And I think that will help change the mental perspective of a lot of our people.
Yeah, there's just this whole, I believe it's this whole love of whiteness and thinking that white is divine and that the solution is in whiteness is the core problem that we're having. It's our mindset is what's holding us captive. It really is. Because we can't even think, like we're just not even being rational at this point. It's completely illogical to sit up here and say all white people are not bad and operate from that premise. It just makes no sense, especially considering while we're trying to convince our people in the world that not all of them are bad, they're trying to convince everybody that we are inherently flawed and are a problem and a plague on the earth and should be exterminated. That's why they're out trying to depopulate Africa right now. So we're so far from seeing what's really happening. And it's too bad because we should have been got it. And we should have been got it years ago. And now things are ramping up and we still don't get it.
Is everybody still on?
Yeah.
I was wondering, I was like, yeah, nah, I mean, that point is right. We still don't grit it. I mean, I've been to the African continent trying to make deals happen before. I know I was speaking to Q Butter about it. And the situation, I would say, for them is even more difficult because I would say that even though we're engaged more and we're closer to the propaganda, you know, Africans only have Africans amongst themselves on the continent of Africa, which I'm talking about. So sometimes, and then not everybody, I'm not, you know, giving a blanket statement here, but I'm saying that it's hard for them to really grasp the enemy perspective living amongst themselves only so much. I went to the continent to actually do some business. And anyways, so I was sitting down with a couple of people in the office and I said, hey, is this business African owned? Because there's a lot of businesses that are not African owned. They might be Libyan owned. They might be quote unquote Arab owned or Asian owned, but it's hard to see a quote unquote institutionalized or organized structured business to be African owned. So I asked them and they said, yeah, why do you ask? And I said, well, because I'm in Africa and I want to spend money in the local economy with the people and with Africans. And the whole office proceeded to tell me that I was racist. Like, oh, you're racist. What about the whites? What about this? What about that? What about the Arab? And it was the simple question. I retaliated. Well, who's drinking the water in the gutters? Is it the Arabs? Is it the Indian? Is it the Asians? Is there any white person in this whole country that I was in at the time, whether it be Kenya or Ghana? And I asked, is anybody drinking from those sewers that is white of all those other groups? And they said, no. Then why are you worried about so much? And the self-preservation is no longer there. The understanding of the necessity to preserve oneself. You can't help anybody without helping yourself. And I'm not even trying to advocate to help other people. someone has convinced, or we have been convinced, to help the world. This is our job, to save the world. And no one asks you to save France. No one asks you to save China. No one asks you to come and save X, Y, and Z. They really don't want you to come save. Maybe work for them to save them with them staying in power. But nevertheless, it is not our job to do that. And I think out of, quote unquote, trying to be so benevolent or so ethically, morally correct, or like the sister said, politically correct, we end up creating more evil and creating more damage and starving our own people, starving our own children. And that whole entire process that we're really trying to become good. So that needs to be understood. The African mind needs to really flourish. An African girl told me of a saying in Kenya, and she was like, oh, this was our revolutionary leader. And he said, the white man should leave Africa so the black man could be free. And I was like, wow. And she was like, yeah, isn't that cool? That's what I'm saying. And I'm like, that is terrible. You're asking, should he? And if he did, that is ridiculous. You are an agent, you are a subject, and that even that terminology, the way you're actually quoting it and saying it, and you're inspiring your people to ask if the man should leave, then we will be free. No, he will leave. He's going to leave. That's why Black Land First or EFF in some shape, form, or fashions that challenge those narratives, not only in the political sense, but the existence of everything in society, whether it be Africans that are revolutionary, do talk about colonialism and neocolonialism, but for some reason they're sitting in the jury and they're sitting as a lawyer with a blonde colonial wig on. And it's like, you look crazy, take that off. And we still haven't gotten those little things end up tattling up to be a big thing. They end up being very big things that control us and manipulate us. So the smallest things that we can see are battles that we can fight in our own daily struggles, like whether it be the celebration of holidays and everything. Because like I said earlier, we haven't really moved from our ancestors because we are still in the same dynamics of doing for other people. And we can't do that anymore and any longer. That was the end. Is anybody still on the panel?
Did Q better go put the baby to sleep or something?
I'll take the baby, put him to sleep. Yo, Q, you still there?
Because he's burning both ends of the candle.
My bad, y'all. I ran downstairs and stuff. It's old. I got a session and stuff I was supposed to be in and stuff.
Oh,
right. You know how that goes.
Yes, sir.
So y'all, I'm about to end the feed though, y'all.
Yeah, I'm about to eat this food that I made and watch Law and Order SVU. That's what I'm about to do.
I'm craving like fried chicken, so I think I'm gonna fry some chicken.